Hello, everyone. Welcome to Artistically Married, where we explore the inner workings of our marriage driven by artistic expression. We're your hosts, Jake Ackerman.
And Brianne Steinberg.
And today we have, not in our normal studio, we are up in Monteith, Ontario, and we are with my friend Darcy Cybolsky.
Yeah.
He's the owner of the Mind Body Sanctuary, which is a float center in Iroquois Falls. What inspired you to open a float center?
So I started meditating after late in my psychology degree. I started looking at the studies on meditation, and I was like, "Oh, that's great! I want a brain like that." When they would test a subject and they would take a image of the brain, then they would meditate for 8 weeks. Typically, they would do 20 minutes twice a day, and then they would scan the brains again at the end. And what they find is that it's reducing activity in areas of the brain. Like this is just your general brainwave when you're imaging. So it changes the brain, and it changes the brain for the better in two ways. So it's a twofold betterment in terms of reducing activity in the brain in anger and aggression, depression, these kinds of things, and self-referential thinking. So you're actually less self-centered.
Yeah.
And then it also increases activity in the brain associated with positive affect and memory, those kinds of things. So I'm like, okay, I want to improve brain, and here's a technique to do that.
Yeah.
So I started meditating and having unique experiences, and heard about floating. I was actually listening through podcasts. So I listened to Joe Rogan back in the day.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, he doesn't talk about it very much anymore. It comes up sometimes. But,
Oh yeah.
he was talking about it a lot back then, and in a very, excited way that got me pumped up about it. And there was nothing. I mean, there's nothing. After that, they did open one in Sudbury, so there was a possibility for me to try it, but I was like, I know this is going to be great, and the only way for me to get access is to have my own, and the only way I could have my own is if I make a business out of it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, financially, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I started looking around for float tanks, and there was a Canadian company that was starting up out of Chilliwack, BC, called ProFloat. And unfortunately, they don't exist anymore. I think 5 or 6 years they were producing these float tanks, and then they had to stop doing it. A lot of the industry got hit by COVID.
Yeah.
I think it was around that time.
Sure.
But it was like half of the industry shrunk. Like it was a big hit on the industry.
Well, I didn't even think about that. You got like a personalized capsule and that everybody's in and out of. I'm sure it would have been a nightmare with
Sanitizing.
Well, for Ontario specifically, it was like we always waited we had to wait till the third phase, right? It was always third phase because it was personal care where you couldn't wear a mask the whole time. You're not going to wear a mask while you're showering or when you're in a float tank.
Right. Yeah, it's wet.
So even though you're in your own room, you're in your own private thing or whatever, they just wouldn't allow it. So we had to wait every time. But we built it out of a wing of our house.
Yeah.
It's a small community. There's 4,500 people in Iroquois Falls. And this was obviously, we have no idea, how the community is going to respond to something like that.
Right.
The community is behind in terms of progressiveness and wellness type stuff. So it was literally just, I really want this thing. And I think I could generate some interest enough that it makes it work.
Yeah.
And so at first I was like, well, I'm going to leave my job and do this as a full-time thing. And my parents got really freaked out about that because I was working in the mine. I was making good money.
How many kids at this point?
So that was 9 years ago. So I would have
just had Nova.
So I had Nova 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So I think Theo would have been on the scene.
Yeah,
so I had
that's when I met you.
Yeah, like a young,
Theo
Nova
was like a brand new baby, and
yeah.
you were like getting ready to open the tank.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So I can understand why your parents would be nervous about that.
Yeah. So they convinced me. They said, you're on 554, just run it on your days off.
Yeah.
And keep your job.
Right.
I said, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I'll do that. But then, my degrees are in biology, biomedicine, and psychology. So I have 2 4-year honors science degrees. And I was working as a geologist.
Yeah.
So they did a round of 40 layoffs. They had to reduce, the cost at the mine, and they just did a blanket round. And I was the only one in the geology department without a geology degree. So they said, we like your work, but you're not a geologist.
So
I'm sorry, we have to. They were all sad because they had to fire 40 people in a row. Yeah. And I was like, don't feel bad. Actually, this is kind of exciting for me. I want to do this other thing anyway. So.
Yeah, this is a sign.
So I was like thrust into okay, the universe wants me to do this.
Yeah, actually.
So
put everything into it.
I got like a same thing, just a sweeping layoff from the mine right before we had Annabelle. And I was like, oh, well, I guess that's, there's the decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
sign.
it was made for me.
Yeah.
But I was already in the works of getting this thing, right? So I'm already in that process.
So excited about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then you're a little bit nervous because you don't know how it's going to work. But I opened the thing, and then the local newspaper did an article on me opening this float center, and the general manager there, who's now the mayor, he said, we're looking for a reporter. And I said, well, that's something I might be interested in. I was working through my ideas in the form of a book that, I haven't really progressed on because I write so much for the newspaper that I don't, it's on your own free time. You don't feel like writing more than
Totally.
producing the entire content essentially for a newspaper every week.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's great because you are, giving the community that kind of information. So it's nice to have a pulse on it.
Well, so I did get a wellness column in the paper as well.
I was
so
just going to say that.
So if
yeah.
I could compile the wellness articles, because there's got to be like 150 now or something
You're like, there's
that.
a book right there.
Yeah, that's a book in itself. So
Yeah.
that writing did progress in its own way, but it's just disoriented. Like it's not organized.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be cohesive. Sometimes it takes a long time to make it like figure out the path of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like what you actually want to talk about. It's hard to figure that out. I'm in that boat.
But that concept is still there, and I still want to do that book. And that's actually the concept for the podcast that I want to start later this year.
Yeah.
Right
So
on.
it's the infinite mountain, and it's a metaphor I came up with for life, that there's infinite possibility for growth, and you can ascend higher and get a broader view of the landscape kind of thing.
Yeah.
And people have made pathways.
love
There's all
that.
kinds of techniques and different things that you could do to better yourself with. And so that hasn't actually changed. That name has always been there.
Right
For
on.
people who are unfamiliar, can you kind of like walk us through what actually happens when you use a float tank?
Yeah, so the float tank is designed to eliminate sensory input.
Okay.
It was originally designed by John Lilly, who was a psychologist or neuroscientist, but the psychologists were talking about what would happen to the brain if there was nothing coming in.
No stim.
Yeah, and they hypothesized that maybe you would go unconscious or something, whatever. But there were people meditating in caves for a long time with very little sensory input, so we know you're just going to enter a meditative state. But
Right.
anyways, they figured that out. The first ones were like a columnar style one where you had a mask, so kind of like a back to tank in Star Wars.
Oh yeah, totally.
But they found like the sensation of the mask and having the mask and
too
breathing
much.
underwater was cumbersome. So that's when they said do it vertical and do it with salt to create a flotation experience.
That's amazing.
So 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt goes into water that's heated. It's heated to average external body temperature. So it's isothermal to your skin. It's so close to your skin temperature that you lose track of where your body ends and the environment begins
water
because your skin
starts.
cells don't detect that differential.
Yes.
Right.
Anything within 2 or 2.5
Yeah.
degrees, right? So
That's one amazing thing in the tank. I'm a big fan of the float tank for
You're
sure.
not cold, not hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just perfect
and
temperature.
You can't tell where the water line is once you've been in there for a while.
That's
It's really
so
cool.
Yeah.
and that's so it's about 80% reduction of gravity. So you're not zero gravity, but you're anti-gravity.
Yeah.
And it does that by distributing those forces across the surface area of your body. Kind of like when you see somebody lie on a bed of nails, you do the force of each nail on the body and divide it by how many nails are touching the body.
Okay.
And now you do that with water molecules,
Right,
that's how you
right.
could eliminate so much of those forces.
Right. Yeah, and then you feel weightless, which comes with its like whole other set of health benefits,
Yeah,
right?
so the
to having
weightless-
the body in like a weightless state.
Yeah, that feels good just to take the weight
Yeah,
off. I mean,
just carrying your meat body around.
that's actually the most energy demanding thing is just fighting gravity.
Yeah.
Right? It uses the most biological
Yeah,
energy.
you just want to fall down all the time. Can I lay down right now?
So now you're in an environment where you could trust that this thing's going to hold you in a nice equilibrium and let go and start. The nervous system has to actually learn how to trust this thing and let go of. You always have some kind of base tension, even in a bed.
Yeah.
But you can let go in a way that you can't in a bed or anywhere else. You'd have to go to space or be in water.
Right. How long?
like a scuba dive
How
type
long do you
situation.
do it for usually?
So it's an hour typically.
Holy.
I like
As
to
the
do
owner,
90
can
minutes.
you just like dip in for 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I do have.
You're like, I only got 20 to spare.
I
don't
do
think
list
it's worth
it's a debate within the industry that some people offer half an hour and some people don't.
Okay.
If you're experienced, half an hour could be a nice little bump, a nice little boost.
Yeah.
But it screws with a lot of scheduling, and also some people take a half an hour just to shut down if they're not experienced. So you're
Right.
you're getting to the point where you're going to really benefit, and then you're out. So
Right.
you don't want to cheat somebody of that experience and maybe lose a further client if they don't get that full hour. Because even if somebody with a busy mind and they get in that thing, maybe they resist for 20 to 40 minutes as a first timer, but eventually they tire themselves out and they let go.
Yeah.
Part of that is that there's an environment where there's nothing to focus on. So it's just your brain left, and then also your anti-gravity and your Epsom salt, 1,000 pounds of it, which is it's a muscle relaxant.
Right.
And you'll be absorbing a bit of magnesium, which is central nervous system.
I was going to say anti-inflammatory.
So your nervous system is shutting down. And unless you really like have a crazy mind that keeps stressing yourself out, which, that's possible.
Lots of people do.
Most people, they'll shut down eventually. And because I have like people where a wife will buy her husband a float because he's for his back.
Right.
Here's an anti-gravity. This is good for your back. You're always complaining about your back.
Yeah.
Here, go shut up and take this thing.
Yeah, try
and
this.
And then they come in and they're all hesitant. They're like, oh, my mind's too busy. I can't do this, but whatever. I'm appeasing my wife. And then they come out and they're kind of like have a blank look and they're like, I didn't know I could do that. I was just like in a state of peace.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing.
and then I've never not had that actually.
Yeah.
You've never had someone come out and be like,
not hit that point.
right. Yeah.
Even the people who say it's not going to work for me, they come out and say that was great.
Huh.
And it's still a hard thing to do for a lot of people. So that kind of person, even though they had a great experience, probably not going to come back because that resistance and they think their thoughts about their mind and stuff.
Yeah.
They don't want to face their mind.
Yeah.
And then so the only other where somebody did come out with a benefit was where they got out early. They didn't give themselves the chance.
Yeah.
Oh. And they just said, I don't like it.
Well, maybe they got out at 20 minutes and said, yeah, I can't do it.
I have to go to the bathroom.
Something. Whatever excuse they gave themselves to.
I gotta pee.
Like we're just bombarded with stimulus all the time. So having a space where there's nothing is, not
Have you
everybody
had,
can do.
It's interesting.
sorry.
Well, I was going to say maybe it could be like a claustrophobia thing,
Oh,
but it's interesting when you get in there because of the total darkness inside the tank. You obviously can't tell where the boundaries are, so now it can feel infinite almost.
You're right. So they've actually treated claustrophobia with that for that reason, because it's like you're it tricks the brain because you're in an enclosed space, but it feels like you're in outer space, like you're in an expanded space because you don't see any boundaries.
Right. I was gonna say that. So it's pitch black. Can't see any light.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's also some people that just want the floating and the Epsom salt benefits, but don't want the darkness or don't want silence. And so there's transducer speakers. So you can play whatever they want, and you can put an LED light on if they fear the dark so much that they can't do it. Yeah. But it's really like, I'm a purist. It's like, no, you want nothing there, and you want an inner exploration.
Yeah.
Whether it's sometimes it's just de-stressing, and sometimes, most of the times for me, it's like I want to examine my mind from an altered perspective.
For sure. What's the craziest reaction? Have you gotten people just like screaming and bawling their eyes out?
Well, I had somebody get really bad vertigo and puke and pass out. I actually had to call the ambulance on them.
Wow.
Because they were in and out of consciousness. And I'm like, what is going on? It's like one and only time that's ever happened. But
how do you check on them?
Well, she asked for help.
She said, please come and help me?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So I have an audio monitor. So I just have ears on the room.
Okay.
In case there's an emergency.
Obviously there's privacy
so I just keep
issues.
This is a baby monitor. I just keep a clip.
Okay,
and then they're like, can you help me? Help me. I'm like, what? Like, this person's naked in the float tank, right? And that never happens. So I'm like, okay, I go in, and she couldn't stay up. Like, her legs were wobbly. And then after she came to, she was like, oh, I've had this all my life. I have really bad vertigo, and I've had spells like this. I haven't had it for a bit, but so it triggered her, that sense of whatever. She probably, her brain did like a spinning effect, and she got really
dizzy.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I never thought of that. My mom has Meniere's disease, and it's like unequilibrium in the ears. So
there is a trick, like if you touch the walls, okay, there we go. Now I have a reference point. Yeah. But she tried that, and it wasn't enough to...
Did she puke in the tank?
No, not in the tank, luckily. So
Thank God. You're like, oh, that Epsom salts, what a waste.
9 years, we just hit 9 years in May.
Do your kids use it like a hot tub?
So... Not really, but they have had fun with it.
Okay.
It's more, the girls are more interested in it, but for girls... you have to wait till they're 10 because it really stings down there in the private parts for whatever reason.
What?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and it's just
something little girls.
Yeah, up till 10, and so it happened with Nova. It happens with Aura. And
weird.
We tried it when Nova hit 10, and it stopped. I'm like, well, this is what they say in the forums of the float business, and so I'm like, I don't know the mechanism for that or why.
That's weird.
But I tested it.
by accident.
That's exactly true. But like I had a neighborhood kid's like, I really want to try it. And he went in there, you know, with his bathing suit for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But the light was on and he was just splashing around. You know, like I haven't had a serious meditative child come through.
Right.
No.
Little yogi baby.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Even when Nova goes in, she's just splashing around. It's like 5-10 minutes and she's out.
Yeah.
Or she'll get out and go and then get back in and make a big salt mess everywhere.
Yeah.
But you get used to that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's kind of one of my favorite experiences with it, is kind of just feeling like you're spinning when you know that you're just laying there
Staying in
floating,
one
but
spot.
you get
Yeah.
this feeling like you're tumbling through space or something like that. It's cool.
Yeah, I could see, I've never done it before, but I could see, and even just meditation, like you do get to a point, I do a lot of yoga, and I think you get to a point where like you're quieting your mind, and then you do kind of have that, like you said, you tire yourself out, but then you can really focus in and be like laser focused on whatever your thought is. So if you do have some fun, like mental, you know, things you want to try, it's like in a dream, right? Where you're like, I could fly now. I can like build a crazy building.
Yeah,
so your imagination, just becomes like so powerful in those moments, which is really fun.
Yeah, it's cool. I find I've had times where I know like I was tired and I've like fallen asleep, and then the light comes on and you're done. But then I've had other experiences where when the light comes on, I'm like snapped out of it, but I know I didn't fall asleep, but it feels like I'm being awoken or
chill state.
Yeah, it's a cool feeling.
I remember you were telling me about playing around with the rotation, because I've had like the side to side rotation.
Oh yeah.
And then you said, well, I was actually kind of going flips and doing stuff. I'm like, I haven't tried that. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
And then I did it and I was like, cool, I actually could control this. And I was doing it, felt like you're upside down, like on a roller coaster or something like that. Or you could rotate yourself like a barrel roll kind of thing. And I'm like, oh, sure enough, you can if you focus.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I was
I felt like I was like tumbling forwards. Just it was cool.
Yeah.
This is something that's like really intense for me anyways, offering. I mean, I think I would imagine yours is even more so because it's more like biomed, but I really struggle with like kind of running, mine's not a wellness business, but it's like a child community business, and it must be even more difficult up here. Like, how do you kind of balance that business aspect with like your intentions and your motivation to like serve the community?
So initially it was like, you know, you're all gung-ho and you're, you know, 24/7, we'll take floaters anytime.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we had somebody came at 1 a.m. or something, and it was like a weird kind of person. We're like, maybe we shouldn't do that.
Yeah, you gotta put some you gotta put some regulation in. Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, well, there's not really a big enough clientele unless I'm really pushing it. And I have to, you know, do these other things to make ends meet.
Yeah.
So then it started to like, well, let's just chill it out and let's put it in these smaller windows. And it was fine because I didn't have an overwhelming client demand that I needed to be open all that much anyway. They fit into the slots where I said you can only float in these windows.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, make it suitable for your time schedule.
Yeah, and there was times where I like, well, Carly, you can handle it if I'm at, you know, putting the newspaper together or something like that. And then, but she's trying to juggle kids and do a float, and it's like that got overwhelming. And I said, okay, well, we'll just be closed on Mondays. That's when I put the newspaper together, and then I'll manage that outside with when I'm available.
You don't have clients that I was talking more to, like, I get clients all the time that are just like, please let me do this. This is so good for my child. And I'm like, of course it is. I know it is. Okay, fine. Yeah, you can come for free. You know, like I get those like big heart moments where you're like, my alignment, my intentions for my community are so powerful that I can't, it's getting in the way of me being a good business person.
Yeah.
But I think you find those like balances, like you said, with your own schedule. Like your family has to come first. Your mental health has to come first. You have to take care of yourself. But in terms of running the business, like how is that, you know, how is that for you? If somebody says to you, like, I need this, but I can't afford it.
Yeah. So I do give floats away. So I donate gift cards and stuff like that. So that a lot of them go out in through different events that I donate to.
Perfect. It's also
and then there's somebody, if they're struggling and they say, I can't afford it, like, you know, well, what can you afford? And we'll make whatever, you can pay less and we'll make it work because you know,
what you can.
Yeah. I'm not booked to capacity, and something's better than nothing. And you know, it's nice that you could benefit from that as well.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. So I have done that with.
Do you guys have? I'm building so much in terms of business in Niagara. What do you guys do for like marketing here?
So I used to do more regular things. Yeah. Now it's more of I'm busy, and if you're interested to come, I'm welcome to have you, but I'm not pursuing any clients.
Okay.
Oh, perfect.
So that's where we're at now. So it's all
That's
organic
awesome.
now. And most of the people I see that are new, it's just like a word of mouth. Somebody comes through and you can book online.
That's
you can find
what
us
I love
online.
about being up here is that like people do use word of mouth as like gold, you know, like they take that to heart where we lose that in Niagara. Everything has to be advertised through your phone or no one's going because there's so much competition. So.
Yeah, like there was like initially I was giving talks and I'd generate a lot of clientele doing that because there's like a like a woman in wellness or a wine and cheese event, and then I would be a guest speaker, and so you talk about these benefits of this and these specifically with women, and they're like, this is great, and they want to come through. So I could always generate more if I were to go out and give talks, but
for sure. And I think you touched on a point, and I hear you talking about this a lot, is that there is this big part of wellness that's education. That it's not just like, you go for this hike. Okay, well, now I went with a guided tour and they were explaining all the like energies that were in that, area and stuff. So I think, you hit a big point that like a lot of times people need to have like typically the re-education that this is a better way to deal with any mental or physical, things that you're dealing with. So, how do you deal with that? Do you get people that are like, you have to give them talks for like 20 minutes before they go in? Yeah. So I had a new client today and he had never floated before. So you go through the full rundown talking about tips and tricks of floating and what to expect and how to get the best out of it. Wow. So that I've been doing that round, and that's 10-15 minutes of an introduction, and then they know everything. Maybe we need like a tutorial video. We're working on things like that in our business. Yeah, so that's right. Like if I have to give it 5 times, I'm going to send a video. That's right. Like the bigger float centers, that's what they do. You have a tablet and you just watch a video. Okay, yeah. Probably sign the waiver at the same time. Yeah. Click. Yeah, exactly. It's all part of the intake, whatever. Yeah, onboarding. For us, it's all through me. Yeah. So I just do it, but it's very manageable because it's low level. Yeah. Like at this point, we're open, Tuesday to Friday, and then on the weekend, and I'll see 4 people a week. Yeah. I don't see a lot of clients, but it's enough over the course of a month that it's a nice side hustle that works with my other 2 jobs because I work other 2 jobs. Right. So it's like, I want to just always be working because I got 5 kids and any extra time with them is great. Yeah. That leads me into my next section of questions. I cannot believe you have that many children. Yeah. And us being your friends and just I'm pregnant again. We're like, holy crap. Oh, I'm pregnant again. So and you feel kind of bad with people who are trying and having a hard time because that's pretty common. Right. Nowadays. I know. We were like, even the first time. Do you think that's crazy? It's becoming more and more common that people are infertile. Yeah. That's so bizarre to me. As somebody in the wellness industry, you're just like, that's like a main thing, and eating, sleeping. It's a marker of health. So we're not as healthy, and that's one of the things that doesn't function as well. So, but we didn't have that. We were, the first time I was working at the mine, and we were at a place where finally got a stable job, and you're like, we don't have to be so careful. So you can come off birth control pill, and we're not going to try, but it was like a month or 2 and she was pregnant. It's like, usually it takes months for that to wear off, especially when you've been doing it for so many years like that. You're like, we didn't even get to try. It just kind of happened. Because we didn't even think she would be able to that early. Yeah. So then it was just like, okay, well, let's buy a house, and we bought a house and went from there. Yeah. And then we both said 3, and we're like, okay, 3. So we hit 3, and I was like, okay, we got our 3. Yeah. And it was girl, boy, girl. So it was all nice and whatever. Perfect. Yeah. And so I was scheduled for a vasectomy on a Friday, and on the Monday, Carly started to be like, well, this is permanent. Like, do we really want to do this? And like, what if we want to have another one? So I said, okay, well, I'll call and cancel it, and let's sit on this for 6 months and talk about it and think about it and see where we're at in 6 months. And so 6 months went by, and I had come on board and said, okay, let's do a 4th. Yeah. Nice even number. Yeah. And then it was like that month, as soon as we, decided, it happened immediately. What's their age span? Because most of it's 2 years. Some of it's a little bit more, but it's almost 2 years. Okay. Yeah, you guys were the exact same. Yeah, pretty much. 5 kids in 10 years. 10 years between us, yeah. Because it's 2 to 12. Nova's 12 and the youngest is 2. Oh, yeah, there you go. Do you think, well, obviously, like being in the wellness industry, how is that like coinciding with your parenting? How are you like raising your children in that environment alongside of your business? So, I prioritize the family, and that's why I'm not pursuing a bit more busyness. Right. And that's why I didn't run for a second term of council too. Because in the meantime, we had a 5th child, when I was in my 4-year term. Yeah. And that was another conversation where she's like, you want to do 5? And I'm like, no, like,
I thought for a second, like, no, 5's, our hands are full.
Yeah.
Like, slow
We
down,
have
not to 5.
enough.
That's too much.
Yeah.
And just because we talked about it, it happened that month, so it's like, it's like, okay, I guess we're having 5.
Oh my God.
And then, it was 4 natural births. And then she had a placenta preva the 5th time.
Okay.
And so the placenta was blocking the cervix.
Yeah.
And so we would be forced into a C-section if it didn't resolve. It did resolve in time, but then the induction didn't work, which was the first time, because Nova was late, so she was induced, and then Nova got stuck, and she needed to have an episiotomy. And then they induced every time, because there's the chances of getting stuck is higher after the first time.
Oh.
So anticipating they lead the base by a week to get the kid out.
And now you're like, well, I mean, you guys are still pretty far away. Do they deliver babies at Iroquois Falls? No, you're driving to Timmins.
I was one of the last in Iroquois Falls, because by the time Carson came along, Dr. Hall had stopped doing it.
Okay.
And so you had to go to Timmins.
So you're looking at a 45-minute drive. I mean, that's not a lot of time. So I think induction
is great, because it's timed. It's all on your own time, and you know what's happening. And we had done it every time, so you know the exact sequence.
You were used to it. Yeah.
And then the 5th time it didn't work.
Oh.
So it turned out, and then so she ended up having to have a C-section, but we had already had that talk, and so she got fixed when she was open.
Yeah,
because we're gonna do that anyway. Like, otherwise it would be me, because it's less invasive.
Yeah.
But since she's open anyway, then we had already signed the form.
Holy.
And the body's so smart, so the cord was wrapped and the shoulders were stuck. So the body was protecting the baby by saying, even though they manually broke the water, they give you the drugs and they give you the oxytocin to dilate you, and it's just saying 2 centimeters and we're stopping and we're not going any further.
We're done here. Yeah. We can't do this, or we're gonna hurt the baby. Yeah, that's so wild that the body's so like talented like that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And then you get the 5th, and this wonderful child, and this great energy, and you're like, oh, couldn't imagine not having that.
Yeah. I feel like we haven't spent enough time with him. Like, he either like the older ones come to hang out to play date, or
he's great. He's just like a vibrant, happy being.
He's probably so chill. Just so much older energy around him.
There's a lot of energy, and he's just happy to try and keep up and do everything. He's excited all the time. Yeah, it's fun. He's still a toddler now. Gets emotional if he drops something, or if he wants something and the kid won't give it to him. All that stuff too.
Yeah.
But, he's quick to rebound.
How do you? Because I'm always curious about this. I started doing this with my kids when they were really young. When they would start getting stressed out, I naturally would go to them and be like, okay, we're going to breathe. Like, let's breathe in through the nose. Let's breathe out through the mouth. Let's breathe. And like, the hope obviously as a parent is that this is going to be their go-to response to deal with stress, right? Yeah. So how are you guys, I know this, but like maybe you can share with some of our listeners, like how you guys implement some of those strategies with your own kids. Because you have this huge body of knowledge, mind and body, right?
And you're like, well, this is a great technique. It's going to work, right? Yeah. If they don't want to do the technique, it's not going to work, because they're not doing it.
Yeah. And you're still their parent.
Or will do it. Loki will do it. The older two, and I tried younger too, but they just, those personalities were like, no, we're not doing it. They just wouldn't do it.
Nova and Theo?
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. And so when they refuse to do something, and you're not going to force them, because that's the opposite of de-stressing. You're adding stress to try and get them to de-stress. That's not going to work. Yeah. So it's ultimately, and this leads into, the floating and the meditation is like, you have control over yourself. So you need to keep yourself calm, because they're bouncing their energy right off you. So if you're stressed out, that's going to elevate their stress. You're their North Star.
Yeah.
And it was even, it's more profound than that, because it's like, when I got better and better at meditating and I could regulate really good in difficult situations, it's like they responded differently. Like the dynamic shifts.
Yeah.
So it's even more effective to do that than to get them to breathe. I think you bring up a good point. It's that like demand from a parent to a child scenario, right? It's just, I mean, it's as old as time. Do what I say because I'm your parent. Why? Because I said so, And I think the hope is that us that are in like this, psychology or in the interest in like wellness, you end up kind of getting into these like situations where you're like, I know this is like going to be the best scenario. I'm going to break the cycle. I'm going to be the one to break the cycle in this. Mind you have really like chill parents. Yeah, the challenge comes on Carly's parents' side. Her dad's chill, but her mom's difficult, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So we've had to
and now as a mom, me and Carly have had this conversation, is like, we look back on the generation before us and we can kind of see like, oh no, that was like, that's your cross to bear. Like, that's what you trying to deal with your own stress levels, right?
But I never I tried to help Carly through that.
Yeah.
Because at first there was a little bit of like, I can't help it, like be myself, you know? So when I first am introduced into the family, it's like, I'm going to disagree if I actually disagree. Yeah. And she's more, she didn't like that because she doesn't have control over that.
She's trying to
and so
keep
there was
the
a
peace.
little, yeah. But like I was cordial and, you know, we got along, but there was a disconnect there.
Some animosity.
But I never turned to like, I don't like her, or you're an enemy, or you're an opponent. You know, even learning of some of the stuff she's done to Carly, that's poor parenting, right? And that you have compassion for your partner. Like, oh, that sucks that they did that. But the reality is that that's what happened. And so the best approach is to try and help her through that and to integrate that. And then to not hold animosity unless you don't want that person in your life or something like that.
Yeah. If you're trying to go in the direction of like, if you're trying to go in a better direction, like there's no point in just shutting down. You're like, okay, how do we make this better? And yes, this person in your life responds like this, but this is how we're going to do it differently with our kids. That's easy
to, you know, we're going to break the cycle. We're going to be great. And then the thickness of, and the grittiness of life. And you're
trying to get out the door.
Being.
No one has shoes. No one's eating this one. This one ate sunscreen.
That you're aiming for that. Yeah. And yes, you're probably going to improve if you're aiming for that.
Yeah.
And that's where mindfulness, because you got to catch yourself, because you're going to slip. Something's going to trigger you.
Yeah.
Oh shit. You know, like all of a sudden that's not who you want to be.
Right.
And the quicker you can catch that, the quicker you can kind of pull yourself out of that, as opposed to you look back on it and you're like, ah, shit, I regret that. And you know, that's if you're good at even reflecting. You know, a lot of people want to justify it. I was justified because they were difficult, or that child deserved that, or da-da. No, what they deserve is love and teaching, you know, and so you have to maintain that non-rejecting state, but saying, here's where you went wrong. Let me just talk to you about your behavior. And that's hard to do. It takes a lot of regulation to do that.
When your steam is pouring out of your ears.
Well, whatever they did, right? Like
it does. I feel like for me anyways, it's getting easier as they get older, because there really isn't that rational part at the beginning. Like there was times with our son where I was like, I have to like restrain you or like bear hug you, because he was just tornado. Like his like emotions were just so big and so crazy. But now I'm finding it's easier to say to them like, either you screwed up or I screwed up. But having that conversation is so like beneficial to your long, you know, relationship with your children. And I hope, right? We hope that like it's different. Our generation's different than like, do what I tell you. This is, you know, for this reason. And instead of like, no, I'm going to sit down and have a conversation with you, and I'm going to explain to you why it was bad, or why I got frustrated, or why how this can go better in the future.
And still not everybody agrees with that, but it's absolutely the correct approach. You know,
100%. And you can feel it, right? You can feel that like you don't want to have that relationship with your children going forward, and you want them to take ownership for their responsibilities and for their things. So if you're not, they're not.
Yeah, no, exactly. The best thing you could do to teach them is regulate yourself and show them that behavior, because I mean, and the hard part is it may take 5 years, you know, like that. And that's a long investment time span. Yeah. And then they start to shift their behavior and you're like, oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It takes patience. That's why people don't do it. It's because it's like, you don't get that immediate fear-based reaction where they stop doing it. Yeah. Because they're afraid of you or what you'll do or how you'll punish them or whatever. Yeah. But that's not changing their behavior. It's changing their behavior when you're looking, when you're around.
Yeah.
They're going to do that stuff behind your back, and they're not going to learn how to be a good person when you're not there to punish them or to have some repercussion for them.
Yeah, even worse so, right? Because like you're supposed to be their security. You're supposed to be their like number one. So all of a sudden they're just like, well, that person even, you know, doesn't respect me or doesn't care about me. They just like want me to do what I'm told. So what's every other relationship going to look like for me, right?
Even when there is kind of an antagonistic relationship between a parent and a child, that child is still so looking to that parent
to give them reinforcement or
give them
love. They have to work for the love.
A lot of parents don't see how thick and how important, how strong that energy bond is between.
Why isn't that taught in like all these baby classes?
I think we're still
in Lama's class. They're like, we're going to teach you how to breathe. I'm like, I think you should teach me how to not hit my child.
Well, I think there was like, it's too no nonsense, materialistic, you know, objective science. And there's a lot of humanness that's cut out of that. And our society adopted that as the church of science, as opposed to, you know, more spiritual practices. And obviously there were problems with tribal religion beliefs,
Yeah.
that cause
Human
conflict and different,
sacrifice.
and I have the ultimate truth. No, I do, and all that stuff like
Yeah.
that too.
Right.
So it's like, I don't think segregation or distinction is necessary. I think that we're all spiritual beings, and to have that. Like, I came from science, right? Like I studied biology,
Me
I studied the
too.
body and cell and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Specifically human biology, and
Yeah.
then psychology, and I'm like, okay, well, let's look at the mind and consciousness, and
Right.
and then it was really like, oh, well, science, we don't even know what consciousness is, which is like the most fundamental thing of your experience of what you are.
Yeah.
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 And-
We don't have an answer. So
And then, then you're doing, okay, well, it's a scientifically studied practice of meditation, but then you start having these anomalous experiences like precognition or something,
yeah.
and you're like, well, that doesn't make sense based on the model.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
you
I
have
was
a-
supposed to be calm. I wasn't supposed to be blasted into another dimension.
Yeah, like an
Just
expanded
like-
state of
yeah.
consciousness
Yeah.
or mystical experiences, like so far beyond what we experience in consensus reality that you're like, there's a lot more to reality than we normally perceive.
Yeah, and I think like we're making it worse for ourselves. That's what I was literally thinking, is like those moments where I really break down with my kids specifically, or my husband, is the external pressure. Like, I have to get to work on time. I have to get through extracurricular on time. Every part of our day has these like expectations and distractions where you never have that time to just like, be with your own thoughts, because you're
Yeah.
like, I can't take my time with you. I can't let you play another 30 minutes. And to a child, they're just like, I'm so into what I'm doing. Look how passionate I am. And I'm screaming at them to get their shoes on because we got to get out the door, right? Like, it just seems like so counterproductive that we've done this to ourselves.
Well, the structure of society is not conducive to like thriving.
No.
It's
No.
designed for you to produce for people to make the money.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important shift that we need to make at some point if we're going to, get out of this part of history, because it's not human centric. It's profit centric.
No. Right.
Yes.
And we would
Capitalism.
operate completely
Yeah.
differently if it was what's best for the human.
Right.
You
And the
make
community.
different decisions. I'm trying to find ways to make money, but I haven't focused on that. So now I'm trying to be, how do I have both? Because it has to be two at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I will not sacrifice a human-based approach.
Yeah.
Money's secondary to me. to that.
Right.
But the reality is you need
the
money to
demand
survive.
Is,
and
they're going to kick you out
provide
of your
and-
house. You can't feed your kids.
That's right.
Like, it's
That's right.
the most basic. They kind of have us by the nuts.
But my shift from going from working 12-hour shifts to having a flexible freedom environment of work is like, you could not pay me any amount of money that would put me back to that set schedule.
Totally.
Right. I like the flexibility. I say I could make time for this thing that I need to do now, and I'll make
Yeah.
up for that by doing work later. There's still events and things that need to be covered, but those are small windows, right? Overall, my days are always different. They're always flexible.
I learned this from my younger brother. Shout out to Bren. He's upstairs babysitting our children. But yeah, he's always like pitched for like lower your ceiling, like need less money. Whatever that looks like, figure out a way that you need less money. We're not doing that.
Well,
I'm like,
that's
more money per hour, least amount of hours of work. I'm going to like hone in on my skills, delegate everything else out, contract out, and make sure that I'm only working a couple hours, still making enough money for my lifestyle, also lower my ceiling and spend my time with my kids.
that's
And I think that's the perfect situation that you're talking about. Both.
Yeah.
yeah. That's something I really appreciated when I moved up here the first
was gonna
time. I
say that
noticed
too.
like the
Slower
smaller
pace.
town really does have a slower pace of life,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's just there's less going on, and it's more relaxing. Where now back in Niagara Falls, the city is it always feels like you have to be doing something,
Hustle.
otherwise it feels like you're doing something wrong, I guess.
Yeah.
But,
Well, you're surrounded by that. You know,
Yeah.
like it's
Everyone's like climbing on top of each
Yeah.
other to compete
Just
to be the best.
always people,
Have the
always another
Bugatti,
car.
you know?
And you don't
Yeah,
always get that in Niagara
exactly.
Falls. Like sometimes you're like, what? 5 cars in a row? What is happening today? And you're waiting to stop. That's a rarity. Usually you're fine.
Is there something going on?
Maybe one.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but I think simultaneously though, we've been to like some community events where we're just like blown away, because you're like, yeah, everyone in the whole community is here, right? Like it's a nice, we did a podcast called Find Your Tribe, and it was basically just like, I think we referenced it, this community. And when you get into it, you can't fake it. I mean, even they'll say it in cities, they're like, oh yeah, we have a neighbor. Oh, we're so close with our neighbors. I'm like, yeah, but like, you show up to a park, you go to that park every single day. It's going to be different people every day. You're going to see different people all the time that you don't know. Where here you can tell, we walk into Tim Hortons and everyone's just like, who's that person? Do you know who that person is? They start calling their friends, taking pictures of me. I'm like, what's that? I'm friends with Sarah Cybolsky. So yeah, I think that's great that it is like more of a human-centric thought process naturally by nature in a smaller community.
Yeah, and the behavior is different.
Totally.
They're always going to say hi to you, pretty much. You're not everybody's.
Of course.
Yeah, Pleasantville type situation. There's grumpy people too, but you know, for the most part, people are going to hold the door for you. They're going to say hi to you. They're going to stop their car and let you cross the road. Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
like, I'm in a car. I'll stop for you. You're on foot. Go for it.
Yeah.
You know, which is great. And then just the general reduced stress of not having to deal with all those people and competition.
Yeah.
You know.
And like, you're just in your car, and like, it's funny because I probably don't in the city because I'm always rushing. But as soon as I get into Iroquois Falls, I'm like, of course I'm going to stop for you. There's no one in front of me, and there's no one behind me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to wait for you to cross, you know?
We were talking about that the other day at the beach, but I was just saying when I was working at the mill especially, but also happened at the mine, like if it was like, you know, hunting and fishing, like season opener, stuff like that, no one would show up for work. And I was like, I really appreciate that because that's like, they're putting what they want to do first in their life. And it's just like, well, who cares about my job? Like, you know, it'll be back there when I get back, and then they go do their trips. Right. And I just thought that was great. You wouldn't get like the same thing anywhere else, really.
Well, yeah. And if you were in a big city, you'd probably lose your job.
Yeah.
If you do that too many times. Here they're like,
not part of the culture.
where
right?
are you going to go?
Yeah. And it was more like that before, like the previous generation, where it was like everybody had their truck and you go up the line, you know, go across the trestle, and it's boreal. The trestle gets you across the Abitibi River, and then it's boreal forest as long as you want. And it's the largest stretch anywhere. Boreal forest.
Who owns it?
And logging roads that go forever.
Most of it's crown. Yeah.
Okay. So no one can
but there's
live
some
there.
properties up there as you go. It was like logging. Like the mill was really smart. It was all done systematically, right? So they would cut blocks, they would replant it, and they had this whole system because you had so much forest back there. You could just do it in such a smart way,
right?
And all that comes right back into the mill, and they produce the paper there.
Yeah, when you have the land, you want to make sure that you always have like your next year's like yield, right? But
so that metal bridge there, was what got you across, and then you're on the other side of the river, and it's all forest.
Yeah.
And so people had properties. There's all kinds of little pocket lakes all over the place.
Have you? What did you see anyways? Like during that pandemic, like in Niagara, you know, there was like house showings and people lined up down the street. Like there would be, you know, 50 people to see like a house showing during that time. That's what real estate looked like for us. Did you guys have any of that like going on during the pandemic?
What we did see is like people wanting to get out of the city.
Yeah.
And so we did see more people come in wanting to live and work remotely because there was a lot of remote work coming up as opportunities.
Coming from like Timmins?
No, all the way from Toronto. So
nice.
It was either they were coming and they could remote work,
right?
Or maybe they found a job and they just wanted to get out of the city.
Yeah.
Or they were a retirement age and wanted to sell off their expensive southern property and come and buy a quarter of the price house, you know, with the same quality.
Okay.
And just bank all that for retirement.
So you did see like a boost in the real estate, yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool.
And we were not equipped.
No, there's not enough houses here.
Yeah. And so the previous council before mine had started that process because it was like we lost the mill in 2014, and it was like our official plan was 1972. It was like there was no municipal planning. It was just the mill's here and it's going to take care of us and it's always going to be here, right?
We're all going to work here forever.
There was no foresight. Yeah. So when the mill closed, it was like, well, we don't have any plans in place to attract anything or anyone.
Yeah.
And so you don't have an official plan, which means you can't do a community improvement plan and have incentives like tax incentives to say, come here, you'll get 75% off or 100%.
That should have
the council
already
can decide
been in the
whatever
plan,
they want.
yeah.
And then you tier it up, the tax, as you come and entice people to come.
Right.
And you could do that for business or for residential.
Right.
And now we have that in place. And I was part of the council that did that. But the
I
pandemic screwed that up.
when you were working on it. Yeah.
Like that was the biggest thing that we did because it was stalled. It was blocked. And we had a mayor that was just like, well, we can't do it. It's, we can't meet their schematics. That it could all be done digitally.
Right.
The company, the consulting company, it does it all digitally. So there was no real reason. It was the most important document.
They were going to build like the tiny house community.
So that's a separate thing, because that
Okay,
is a
that was
privately owned
separate.
property.
Okay,
we,
yeah.
we ran into that problem too, and we want to do an industrial park, but we didn't have the documents in place to be able to do something like that.
Right.
All of our industrially zoned, because you have a new zoning bylaw that goes with the official plan.
Right.
Yeah.
And so all of our industrial land is zoned into the mill. And there's a couple spots, but it's, like construction companies or stuff like that on the start of Highway 67 as you go
Right.
there. And down at Porkwis.
And they just need that big space because they have lots of like equipment and stuff.
Yeah, so
It's
but
not
it's
like you're
zoned.
building
It's
a
zoned
mini
for them
mall.
because it's already built in. But we
Right.
can't. Industrial is the one that's really hard. You can't just rezone to industrial. It's more complex than changing like a rural 1 to a rural 2 kind of designation.
For sure. Yeah. We've gone through that a few times looking at properties in Niagara, thinking, oh, maybe we could section this off and turn it into the commercial space for our business. And yeah, it is really hard.
It's a
Because of
process,
city
and you have to go
planning,
through.
you
Yeah, it
need
has
do
to be a
city
public
planning
thing.
first.
Yeah.
And then make sure that the town knows about it.
But as long as you jump through those hoops, it almost always gets passed.
Yeah.
Unless it's something like potentially negatively impacting the environment or something. Like,
Yeah, we did find that here. It's super easy to like get permits and get approval,
Yeah.
where like the red tape involved in like the GTA all the way down to Niagara is
I think it gets worse in the bigger.
gong show.
Yeah.
Oh, numbers of like $20,000 before breaking ground to just get like your permit applications.
Yeah.
Insanity. Jacob went to go get a permit. Was it $50?
I forget. Yeah, I got a permit to do my roof here, and it was like
$50 or
$100
free.
or something like that. I forget.
Yeah. Well,
But no,
I
that's
guess
great.
I guess that's the problem, right? I mean, that's the trade-off is you appreciate the fact that that your township and like your population here are caring more about their like families and their hobbies and their life rather than their job. But on the flip side, then that's the trade-off is that the progression maybe is slow and people aren't thinking far enough in the future to put the city into a better
There's a
financial
complacency.
position.
Yeah.
Because really, you could be like the same as like driving around here. I've taken the kids to like a couple local like lakes and stuff. I'm like, this could be like Muskoka. Like you could have the same energy as Muskoka. It just needs the right marketing and the right planning.
There's so many lakes here, and that's another.
Yeah.
So I was pushing like, let's develop a trail system like Sudbury has. Sudbury Trails. It's all wayfinding designated trails.
Yeah.
We have the locals know of these trails. There's small
don't wanna
trails,
tell
but they're not
anyone.
long trails, and there's no markings.
They
and
don't
they're
wanna
secret,
share it.
essentially. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
so, if you were to come in from out of town, you're not attracting anybody to your
Yeah.
secret spots. They don't know about them.
They should be.
So that should all be part of a pamphlet with a map system that says here's where all the trails are.
Yeah, come to try all these things.
Yeah, so we passed a resolution to form a trails committee, and I said, well, this is the thing I'm going to continue post being a council member.
Nice.
And then they're busy with stuff, and they still haven't formed it, and that's 2.5 years later. So it's one of those things where I've been busy, so I brought it up maybe 3 times, maybe
Trail
3
maintenance,
emails.
That's a fun job.
Yeah, about 3 times, almost once a year.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, like where are we at? And so part of that trails committee was that green space where they were going to do those tiny homes.
Yeah.
That company was willing to give the municipality that land, and so that we could develop as a new green space for the town.
Okay.
And so that would be a 3.5 kilometer loop, and you actually get to go down to the river.
Oh, that'd be
And so that would be the first thing that
perfect.
the trails committee was to focus on getting this trails.
Yeah.
And the hang up for why they haven't done the trails committee is because they haven't transferred the property because environmental testing. And I think that nobody's willing to put in the money for the environmental testing.
Yeah.
And when that
Okay.
company is willing to for $1 give that to the municipality, they're not paying for it.
No.
The municipality needs to pay for that, but I don't know if they're worried how that looks or why it doesn't come up every budget time. And even though I
Also,
keep bringing
things
it
like
up.
that, a lot of times you put money into it and you could still get denied. So that's like a hard thing for a city to
What
like.
if it's contaminated and it was a waste? Yeah.
Yeah, you did all that work and you're not even allowed to go in there.
But
kind of
that
thing.
was always a green space on that mill site, so the chances of
Yeah.
being contaminated are low.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's still
You
expensive
should
to do
ask the
that testing.
Mennonites because yesterday we were talking to, was it a council member or he just worked for
It
the
was
city?
a council member, yeah.
It was a council member, yeah.
Yeah.
Jacob still can't think of his name.
Yeah, I
he worked with him at the mill.
The mill, I forgot.
But
his
he
name.
was there. They were putting in a new dock in Goche
Goche Lake.
Oh,
Goche
yeah.
Lake.
Yeah.
I just found out about
Brand
Goche
new,
Lake.
beautiful
Yeah, it's a
dock.
great spot.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, it was amazing. We took the kids there and yeah, they had the Mennonites. He said the Mennonites donated this like big, beautiful new dock to go in there.
Yeah, because I didn't know about the dock, but they have like a covered picnic area, and there's a change
Yeah.
space and parking,
Garbages.
and a nice sandy beach too. So
And the beach
Yeah.
is so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we took the kids yesterday. It was amazing.
I've been here 40 years. I just found out about that this week.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, on Monday.
I guess we're
2 days ago.
We're in the know. We actually
Yeah.
asked my brother. My brother was like, "Yeah, go to Goche." It was amazing. We were gonna go to Devil's Punch Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is how we travel. Anytime we travel, we just want to try everything.
So yeah, like I found a lot of stuff on Manitoulin Island because I'm there every summer for a week or two, and I have my bicycle, and I'm like, I want to find new places to pedal bike. Yeah.
No, but I think this town has like all the same type of elements. It just has to be like it needs to be broadcasted properly.
Yeah, and then you run into like privacy things to try and find where you could put trails, because if it's privately owned, they can't give you the information. But you can, in a small town, you can find out who owns it and get that contact.
Yeah,
talk
that's
to them
true.
Yeah.
Actually, I know that's a big issue with the snowmobile trails, is that they have to go through other people's property, and sometimes, the people will get tired of it because people will wander off the trails and things like that on their land, and then they'll stop it, and now they have to try and find a workaround that property.
Right.
Yeah.
That's hard. So you hope everyone cooperates, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to explain to a population of people like how they're gonna community growth benefit as soon as they, and this happens like in the city too. I'm trying to like understand the phenomena of scarcity and possessiveness of people. It's like, I don't want to tell anyone about it because like they're gonna wreck it. There's gonna be too many people, so I want to keep it a secret. Like the fact that people aren't shouting from the rooftops, or there's not like policy pages through like the city to like show people where to go, or these areas, makes it really non-invitational, even for its own locals.
Yeah, and I think people are less explorational now. So it's, as a general thing.
Yeah, they're lazy. They just want to stay home.
So they're
on their
less likely to
phones.
find it. So you need to reduce that barrier of them having to seek out something or ask around.
Yeah, you need the like things to do in Iroquois Falls page, Like,
and that's just
really
a no-brainer.
things.
It's going to benefit everybody who already lives here, and it's going to attract people to want to be here because it makes the place better. We're a design town. It was called a garden town. It was designed to be a garden town.
Yeah.
And we're surrounded by nature.
Yeah.
And there's no real outside nature trails. You have to go out to like the lake nature trails where people have just done it because they cottage out there and they want trails.
Yeah, Sarah recommended that, Kettle Lakes.
Yeah,
like
or a
going to
little bit
hike out there.
behind the cemetery, and you got the hill and the old ski hill and stuff like that.
I remember you talking about when you were doing council that was your biggest struggle.
Yeah.
Was just trying to talk sense into people and like trying to have them see the longevity of a project and how it could benefit them.
Well, it was the same thing with like, I wanted to do permaculture projects.
Yeah.
And so I got one going, but I lost 5 of 6 apple trees. And some of it was just like a negligent student on a mower that just blew over the whole thing. And it's like, this is a tree. It's not an insignificant thing.
You just cut down the tree.
Yeah, and it's in a diamond pattern. It was the first 3, and then I had another set of 3 coming in so they can cross-pollinate in different species.
Right.
And I lost all 3. Because you're cutting, it's a diamond, so he's going down to the end. It's a big field, and he comes back and he goes and does the next one, and then he does the 3rd one. It's like, what is happening? I didn't know until I went, and I'm like, the trees are gone.
What happened to my
and
trees?
then you just see they were cut by a riding lawnmower.
Oh my god!
So I fortified it more. I put like metal stakes in this time and stuff, and then somebody stole the metal stakes, and skidooers crushed them in the winter.
You can't make this up.
I had 1 tree survive, and I gave up on the project. I brought it to the lake, but it was also, they were also growing slowly because that was when I started to plant them and dig it in. It was heavy clay. It looks like a great field. It's all green or whatever, but when you dig into it, it's a heavy clay.
Yeah, you guys have clay, and then I do see a lot of like sandy loam around here.
Yeah, there are good locations.
Yeah,
like that place me and Brent tried to buy. Like that's like the loamiest stuff you'd ever. It's like beautiful soil.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we didn't get that property. That would have been awesome.
Oh,
yeah,
where was it?
That.
It was on 67.
Okay.
It was like that forest pixie person that lives there now.
Forest pixie?
Yeah, something like forest pixie.
She has like the dirt house, the no floor house.
No,
it's like a camper trailer type situation that she parked in.
Okay. I was thinking of the house over here. It just has like the dirt floors. I looked at the video. I was like, that's what it reminds me of, like fairy.
It's a property over. Well, she's like a very gruff person.
Oh, okay. So
but
Pixie's
I don't know. I haven't seen her.
Yeah,
she made a stir when she came because she had TikTok and she was being all like, "This place sucks" and everything. Oh my God. So the people were like, "Why are you coming here then?"
She had TikTok.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that maybe TikTok for the mind body sanctuary.
Yeah.
That'd be so fun.
Well, when I do the Infinite Mountain, I'll be on everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I mean, the really beautiful thing, and I've talked to a bunch of, and same within my industry, like in the dance studio, you see a lot of like family run businesses. And I think maybe just as a parent, you tell yourself that you're like, my kids are going to be so, what a great experience for them to grow up to. Right. So like you do get your kids to an age where you're just like, oh, now you can jump on board with this. Like little things at the studio. I've been able to say to Anna now, okay, this is yours. Like, you want to do this. She's really into ChatGPT, which every kid is, right? They're like, oh my God, I don't need friends anymore. I just talk to this guy. He knows everything.
You can actually talk to them now too, like a voice.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to talk
it.
back. Brett was telling us. Anyway, so there's certain jobs that she likes to do now. I'm like, okay, go find our like tagline for our newsletter. This, go start writing the newsletter or something for it. So I think the exciting part is maybe that, you sink all this energy and work and you have all these big ideas, and then your kids start to become like involved in an extension. And all of a sudden you have 5 workers for you.
Yeah, exactly.
So they'll be the ones doing the TikTok videos and the newsletters and the whatever to like promote a business.
That was the initial idea, is like, we could start growing food and having better food security. Yeah. And then it's a lot, it's complicated. It's a lot of work. And so you have these ideas, and I read books, and you go to do it, and it's like, it's trickier when you're in hands-on and you're trying to learn the thing.
Oh yeah.
And
for
if
sure.
it had worked out,
it makes sense.
I could have kept building that skill set, but then I got busy and I had another child, and you're like, okay, I like the idea, but I don't have the time for it right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. We have talked about thinking about like food security and stuff like that, to do, growing greens, to do microgreens, vertical farming that's very scalable as a business. But again, just
to feed your family.
Yeah, well, that's
right.
The cost.
Like then you get cost and good quality food. Like it's hard to get. We don't talk about it a lot, but it's hard to get good quality food up here. Yeah. It's a far distance. Where are you guys getting your food from? Like,
well, we used to, when I was on 554, I would drive to Timmins and eat completely organic.
Nice.
But it's expensive. I could afford it then. But, now there's cost cutting. You got 5 kids, that adds up, and the groceries are expensive. So
totally.
They want to eat hot dogs anyways.
What's that?
They want to eat hot dogs.
They want to live off of hot dogs and craft dinner anyway.
Yeah, like when we had the first child, we were like, nurse them as much as possible, and we got really good and really healthy. And then it gets harder and harder as you have more kids. And so you start to cut corners and be like, that's fine, it's good enough.
Yeah, we should have just stuck to breast milk.
Yeah, but we do get quarter cow, and so we get beef. It's a regenerative farm, so it's 100% grass fed out of Timmins.
Nice.
And that's Hawk Feather Farms.
Cool. I was going to ask you for a contact, because we used to get it from the same person who's not, now he just does goats.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where we used to get it from Bill Armstrong. And
I was going to say shout out to Bill Armstrong.
You stopped doing it. Yeah.
Imagine Bill listens to podcasts. I don't know. This is not farming enough for him. Yeah. Last I talked to him, he said he was moving to Whole Tire.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yep.
Did he?
I don't know. I haven't seen him since. I used to connect with him when we get the beef, but that was
exactly.
it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I still see Will, though. He comes into the shop.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
So I'll see him every 2 weeks, maybe.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, I did. I wanted to ask, so obviously you saw things that you would have changed in the town, and you got involved in the community politics, which is awesome. How easy is that to happen if somebody else wants to do the same thing, right?
Yeah, so it was really, what made me want to do it is I was covering it for the newspaper, and I'm watching all the discussions. There's a little media desk in the council room. And I'm like, I'd like to say something about it.
I got an idea.
You can't be part of that discussion. No member of the public can. It's only within.
Okay.
And it's a structured system. You have to get permission from the chair, from the mayor.
Okay.
And so there's a whole sequence of
there's
how
a talking stick.
Yeah. It's a little less formal. In Iroquois Falls, it's a small municipality, and so it's not strict. It depends on how strict the mayor wants to be, I guess. But
yeah.
There's a little. Some people can talk 2 times in a row, or different things like that.
Cool.
So outside of the structure.
Were you guys voted in, or you just doing an
so
application?
you put your name in, you nominate yourself, you just fill out a form and say, I want to run for council. And as people apply within the window, it gets published on the town's website, and then there's a whole election process. You go through a debate too.
So fun.
200 people in the town go into the community center, and the questions get fired at you. And
do they heckle?
No,
I can see them just heckling
there's some
in
combative
French.
Stuff, yeah.
French, just yelling in French at people.
No, I didn't run for it. It was kind of cordial the first time when I did it, but the second time there was a little bit more contention. And there was a little bit of yelling.
Oh, I can't even imagine. I saw all the French yelling at Tim Hortons yesterday. Booing. Oh my God. I think it's great. My background is French Canadian, so it's just so close to home for me. I'm like, this is because they're passionate. I think it's funny. I love it.
Yeah, so I was like, well, I want a seat at the table.
Yeah.
And so I put my name in, and I was already known through the newspaper.
Well, you're passionate about the community too, so like you're young, so like it's the perfect opportunity.
There is a young bias too, so that they're like fresh blood. We want him in there. And he's got good ideas, a good mind,
like who's
educated.
gonna carry it forward, right? Like, what happens when all these like people in council that are old and retire or die?
And so that was a hard decision walking away too, because you're halfway through a lot of the stuff that you're working on, especially with our council, because there was the pandemic and the delay, and so now and then the mayor got sick. And the mayor resigned. And then my closest ally got in, as it was his time as acting mayor. So he filled in while the guy was sick, and then he got too sick.
You're like, now we can actually get some stuff done. Yeah,
exactly. And we pulled in a new person to replace, and that person was like-minded to us. So all of a sudden we had the majority, because we were losing. We were on a 3 side of a 7-person group. So it was 4. We didn't have majority.
Okay.
All of a sudden we had 4, and they were in 3.
Yeah.
and we were ready to go, and there was like this built up, couldn't get stuff done. We could have, but they were just a lot of resistance.
Back, yeah.
And so it was like all hands on deck, full force. We were all raring to go. All staff was all riled up. Like it was like everybody's pulling in the same direction.
Amazing.
And so that final year was like 3 years of frustration trying to figure things out, how to get influence, how to make stuff work.
Yeah.
There is a council staff relations policy where you're not supposed to deal with staff, but it's a small community and staff interacts with you to a degree.
Yeah.
So how do you get staff member to do something? Like even just forming a committee means that, somebody has to be at that meeting and take the notes and do the minutes and stuff like that. So you're adding a workload to somebody every time you add a committee.
Right.
Even to councilors, because there's going to be 2 sitting members of council on that committee.
Somebody has to oversee what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, we've talked about this before, but like when you have 5 kids, when you're ambitious, when you have these visions and you're into wellness and the community, you have vision and you want it to happen. You want the action to happen. So like every time you go through these meetings where it just ends up a lot of talk and nothing's happening, that just becomes exceedingly more frustrating, because you're like, okay, I'm doing the things. We're good. We're on the precipice.
Yeah.
Just push the button. Push it.
So
Stop talking.
You're right.
Push the button.
So now you got a seat at the table and you're in there. And the dynamics aren't, right.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're playing a waiting game, and we did the work, and I learned a lot, because it was like you're learning where to probe, like what can you get away with, where do you hit a wall, especially with staff, where it's just like what are they willing to do, and like I'm not going to push here because I need you for something more important later. And so you're going to hold on to that leverage, because if you're riding somebody or saying, do this, whatever, they're less likely to do something for you because you didn't approach it the right way.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. There has to be a proper motivation there, and they have to like you.
You got to,
they're not going to like you if you're
sweeten them up.
Yeah. Like I'm the counselor. You need to listen to me. And that's why the province put in that law in the first place, because there were counselors that were trying to manage staff, and that's not their, that's not their role as a policymaker.
Right.
But having interaction with staff helps you be a better policymaker. So it's kind of like a catch-22 where people ruined a good thing. And then, so as long as you're not going to get complaints, you can maybe get away with that a little bit with staff. But the staff can put in an integrity commissioner complaint if you technically did what you're not supposed to do according to policy.
It sounds like a lot of just chasing your tail.
Well, so I got good at it though, right? Because I wasn't like this. I'm so frustrated, I'm going to give up, and this is stupid.
No.
It's like I had this kind of like, it's like, this is the reality.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do anything, you have to learn how to navigate the reality. This is the real structure. As much as maybe you don't like it and it's difficult, this is still what it is. Yeah. And how do you do that best? And I got good at that. The staff liked me. I got them to go on board with stuff that they wouldn't have done for most other people.
Right.
And then we had the full force, and it felt really good to be productive, and everybody's all riled up and go. And then it's like, it's too much. I couldn't help myself. I was on 6 boards and committees, right? Like most had 2 or maybe 3.
Right.
I was taking a lot of the load because I wanted to be on the hospital board. I wanted to be recruiting doctors. I recruited a doctor. I took a doctor for a hike out in Porquis. Nice. And sold the community, and he came here. He didn't stay. So a lot of these things where you get a success and the success is taken away. You get an industry and then the industry collapses. Like with the power plant, what happened with them?
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Oh, it was a false promise." It's not like I think we collapsed a company. Like
we tried.
That's their own fault.
Yeah, exactly.
We welcomed them. We did.
That's
great.
Why they were willing to come here.
We did great. We were very welcoming, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, like you said, that's the trade-off, and I feel like it's so interesting to us to kind of have our feet dipping our toes in both communities, because we go there and we're like, oh, the ambition and the competition and the amount of like energy going in our community in Niagara Falls is like a bullet train. Like you can't catch up. You can't catch the train. You're always late. Something's always not getting done because the person beside you is grinding that much harder and consequently ignoring their children that much more as well. Typically, we got friends that have like nannies, we're just like, you don't even interact with your child. We'll tell them a story. We're like, oh, I know. I'm like, no, you don't. Because you don't actually raise them. No, you don't. Yeah. But then you come here and you're beating your head against the wall to try to get stuff done. But it's because people are busy living their lives, and that's beautiful. I think that's great. I think we're ready for a break. Yeah,
for sure.
We're going to come back and get some mindset and philosophy advice from you.
Awesome.
I like the title of that category.
Yeah.
We'll be back. So today we're sitting down with Darcy Cybolsky. He's the founder of the Mind Body Sanctuary in Iroquois Falls. We just, the last part of our segment, I just wanted to chat kind of specifically on the sanctuary and some of kind of your philosophy and mindsets that you've kind of developed over the years.
So it's, like I talked about consciousness, right? Like the mind is the most intimate thing of who you are. And it's just, we're so bad at it. It's like
how did we get here?
We're at the mercy of it. It's because it's all external focus, right? Like that's the whole thing about having this inner experience and inner exploration.
Totally.
You get to know how the clock ticks, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's funny to see with meditation specifically, because there's something about floating where you're floating and it's an experience, and that's easier, to take in than I'm going to start meditating as a regular practice. Because it's like, I try to meditate, it's too hard. It's like my mind's da-da-da.
And then I just pick up my phone. I do something on my phone,
And so I'll be distracted. What's my to-do list, or what's on Instagram or on your phone or whatever you want to do, something, or I want to shop for this thing,
Yeah, something will pop in your mind that motivates you.
But that shows you literally how little control you have over your mind.
Yeah.
And exactly why you need to be meditating.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like boom, 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 boom. All these ideas just crazy in your head.
Even when I was typically doing the floats, I was definitely doing it for like the muscle benefits. I just found I would heal so fast after being in that tank. But I didn't even think I was meditating. And now when I look back at it, I totally was. Yeah,
you are, because they actually did brain scans in a flow place, and you're reaching like a theta state, right? So like a light sleep state or a meditative state.
Yeah.
And that's not somebody with no meditation experience. The brain automatically does that because it's slowing down. Yeah.
Right. No stimulation. Again, we kind of talked about this at the top of the episode, but I think like our society is kind of imposing some of these processes, like whether it's intentional or not, to pull us away from our inner self, away from meditation.
Well, it's because it's easier. Right. It's easier to eat convenience foods than to eat healthy. It's easier to pull up your phone than it is to go do something difficult, whether it's meditation or even something else like a task.
And I find too, like maybe in consideration to like, our corporation type of like system, you're probably less likely to be sold on something if you do have alignment with your inner self, right? It's those people that are like minimalists, those people that are able to, put the effort into growing food, put the effort into cooking food, right?
Well, it becomes more, not only does that become more clear that that's a better way to do things,
totally,
but you also have more ability to catch yourself from sliding into what's easier.
Yeah.
Because if you
You're
don't have
stronger.
that, it's an automatic pull, right? It's
Yeah.
a rut. You're going to have this impulse to eat a bag of chips or whatever. Not the whole thing, but eat some chips or whatever. Maybe the whole.
Maybe the whole thing. Oh, it's a Friday night, man.
Or I can't just sit on the toilet. I got to have a phone on me. I can't just have a moment of silence. Or you could read a book or something too. Why does it have to be some? It's highly stimulating. It's dopamine, right? We want that dopamine kick, and we can get it so easy now, whether it's through food or through digital entertainment.
Yeah, we don't want to work hard at it.
Yeah, so I think that makes it even more important. Like, why would you not be practicing some kind of a mental exercise so you actually have the ability to refrain from all of these things that are bad for you?
Yeah, you're better equipped to fight it.
Yeah, this is why we're more overweight, we're more unhealthy, our attention is worse. We see that in the kids.
Oh yeah.
Our accomplishments are worse. Even if you want to get something done so bad, you just can't get there. You're like, why can't I get this accomplished? I want to do this.
Yeah, and it could take years for you to sort that out, even with meditation, right? So if you're not, you look back and you're old and you're sick and you're like, oh, what did I do? Well, no, just didn't do the thing, whatever the thing is. And it doesn't require meditation. Plenty of people have done it without it.
Yeah, just exercising, eating healthy, taking care of your body.
Mm-hmm. You can get into good habits, you can do discipline, but it makes it easier. It gives you the leverage you need, because you really need that leverage more than ever.
Over the years, I'm sure I have told everyone, but it's kind of taboo, but I used to smoke cigarettes. And during my pregnancy with Annabelle, I went my pregnancy, I didn't smoke. And then I went my nursing, I didn't smoke. And as soon as I remember the day I had a cigarette, I was in Muskoka, we were at our cottage, and I had one. And immediately after, I was a smoker. Because you change the behavior, but you're not dealing with the mindset issue, right? You're not dealing with your brain part. So when I was pregnant with Phoenix, I did some hypnotherapy. And I only did 6 to 8 sessions. I can't remember. And it was unbelievable. It was amazing. I mean, yes, I think when you're being hypnotized, it's kind of it's meditation, because you're quietly sitting there and they're kind of feeding you information, different than when you go for a therapy session where you're the one talking. Hypnotherapy, they're the one talking. They do intake and they use the manipulation tools or whatever, but then they do all the talking. So it was cool, because it was not only... It was me meditating, but it was also them being able to kind of seed your brain and kind of feed you these ideas so that they could change it. And it was incredible. I mean, you can attest to this, but yeah, it was no work for me to do it after. I didn't have to work at trying to quit the way I did every other time in my life. My brain was changed that I just didn't even want it anymore. So I think those are the moments where you're you can do brain work that makes your strength and your focus, or being able to avoid things like that. What's that word? Willpower. Yeah. You don't have to fight so hard with your willpower. Your brain just starts to go to those places because you've done the mental work. Yeah. And that's been studied too, that you only have a set amount of willpower and you could deplete it. That's why by the end of the day, you're reaching for something you shouldn't have, because you've deleted, because you've made a lot of hard choices. And then you're like, no, next thing you know, you lost your willpower. And you know what? It's funny you say that. Those are the times that I tend to flip out with the kids. I've held on all day. I did it at work with my students. I did it with my staff. I made, and then all of a sudden it's the end of the night. I've told the kids 5 times to brush their teeth and they're not. And I'm just, screaming and yelling and running around like an idiot.
So there's a better strategy. And the strategy is the self is primary. The self is your focus. We don't really do that. It's what's your outward goal? You want to build this thing or a relationship or whatever with your children. Yeah. But are you building yourself? Are you looking at yourself? Are you finding out why that's coming out? Why does it take that? Because it's an internal shift can change that dynamic, like you're smoking or whatever. Yeah. It's I had this, I got to get up early and do my personal development, set myself up for a day of success. Right. And it was years of struggling because I'm tired in the morning. I don't want to do it. I wake up and maybe you could sustain a couple days, 3 or 4 days. And then it's just by then you're a little bit sleep deprived, you're tired. The next morning the alarm goes off and you're you break the cycle and everything falls apart. Yeah. Now, I had this unique experience and it showed me everything. It said all of those struggles, all that process, thinking about it, learning about it. You're reading these books, you're trying it, you're failing it, you're trying something new. It's all part of a process. And it's all this perfect process of you moving through your life, working out your energetic thing.
That's why you call it a yoga practice, right? Our practice means that it's not going to be perfect the first time.
And seeing it as this is, I'm not beating myself up because I can't do the thing. It's like, that's all part of it. You were literally training through failing to get to where you could do it.
Totally.
And then all of a sudden, okay, well, I don't have this resistance. This like, what if I can't get up? And what if I can't get up? What if I can't do that? What if I can't start a podcast? What if I can't be successful?
Right.
It's like, that's a weight now that you've put on yourself. And so it's counterproductive, right? It's just like, it prevents you from doing the thing that you want to do.
Yeah.
So when I had that experience and I let go of that, I woke up, and I woke up. I don't know how many. I get up at 6 a.m. every day, and it's not like I don't have a perfect streak, but I did for a while, and then I got sick, and I was like, well, my body needs rest. I'm not gonna be stupid about trying to push through and just wake up and be all sick and tired in the morning because I need to keep a streak. But I've developed a habit, and the only difference is like I was trying to force a will myself through waking up early when it was my weakest point of the day because I didn't have the power because I was tired.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it was like the alarm went off and I was up.
Yeah.
Like, what happened? What difference? It was an internal shift.
Right.
And then it's just like, aha, that's primary. Everything is primary.
Yeah.
My energy started to shift. I started to feel better. My interactions, I was more positive, and the kids responded. Everybody's going to respond to your field.
Right.
So it's like, okay. Hang on to that. Hang on to that understanding.
Yeah.
Because if you can keep yourself in a positive state, all of a sudden everything around you is going to be different. And not just in terms of people will feel better around you and interact with you better, but you will actually attract things in your life to you, opportunities or whatever, giving you the energy to actually do the thing. You have to do the work. It's not like like positive thinking gets you the thing. It has to be combined with you're taking the steps to make the thing happen.
Yeah. But I think you hit the nail on the head that it's not an all or nothing thing. Mm-hmm. It happens in progression the way it's like supposed to. Because I think people do that. They're like, I'm going to change this behavior. And then when they don't, they feel this like horrible sense of failure, right? Where that's it. It's over. I said I was going to do this thing and now I can't. Versus like, I'm doing the thing. Maybe I'm not doing it today, but I did it yesterday and I'm going to do it again. Like it is a mind shift that it's not just, all or nothing.
And I really tend to criticize like worry. I think worry is such like a useless emotion because it's so uncertain and it stops you from progressing and it stops you from working towards something because you have this worry that's kind of holding you back, right?
It's not serving you.
It's not serving you at all.
Makes for an interesting marriage because
it's a biological protection thing.
Yes.
Like fear of failure.
Don't take a risk, right? Like stay safe.
Yeah.
You need to survive.
And it makes sense. Like, I'm on the top of this cliff. Like, I got to make sure I watch my step and so I don't fall off.
That's caution though. That's not worry. Worry is like dreading, like, oh my God, this bad thing's going to happen. If I do that, if I do X, Y is going to happen.
Or it's just like, maybe if I go on this hike, I'll fall off a cliff or something like that.
Yeah.
And then
you see people not leaving their houses because their paranoia is so bad.
Yeah, so we have this big, powerful prefrontal cortex that can plan. It can look back on the future. It can see things ahead. It could develop patterns and say this is a trajectory and stuff like that.
Executive functioning.
Yeah, so we have this powerful mind that can do all these things. No wonder why it's overwhelming. You know? And no wonder why it's hard to control. Yeah. It's like they use the analogy of like it's like you're in a chariot, but the horses are pulling in all different directions. And there's a lot of horsepower.
Yeah.
Now this is what meditation and mindfulness is, because you can meditate and you can get into a nice state, but that's not going to help you if you just have a nice little break in a state and then your life is the same outside of that.
Yeah,
right?
you got chaos.
You have to carry that in to be practical, and now you have a little bit more mental ability. Maybe you had an insight that's great, but it's the mindfulness key that's the most productive part of that. Because it's like now you can apply that ability to see the impulse and to say, no, I'm going to redirect, or I'm going to do this instead. And that takes a mindfulness moment. Or maybe you didn't, but the mindfulness allows you to say, you're doing the thing that you don't want to do again. Remember, you talked to yourself about that, or with your wife or whatever, like you're doing it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm justified. And the mind wants to do all these crazy things because it's so smart.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have done it if you didn't do that. I asked you 10 times. Yeah. You hit your point, right? You're like patient for 9.
Yeah.
10.
Snap 10 time. You just snap.
But so that's going to happen. You're like, okay, damn, that's the point that I was trying to avoid.
Yeah, and then you hope that you increase, or you get tired.
Well, I think the ego dissolution is really important too.
Yeah.
And part of having unification experience, you feel connected. Everything's connected. We're all connected, and we're all one species. It's like I'm not trying to outdo you. This is part of like the implementation of a spiritual practice, is to say let's benefit each other. Let's benefit
bring
everyone.
it to the community, and that's why you see thriving in churches. as much as like, you know, we've kind of gone away from it for all the reasons, but I think really at the heart of it, going back to like those community centers are like so powerful because you do feel that connectiveness. And that I feel like is big time going by the wayside right now.
Yeah.
People
like
are feeling more disconnected than ever.
So the idea is good. It's just the structure of it, because now you've created a boundary that creates ins and outs, right? Like, are you us or are you not us?
Right.
But it's all
polarity.
us.
Right.
Including the animals and the trees and the environment,
Totally.
right? Like, so it's all us. And we don't treat it that way. And so if we had that same concept of community and gathering, interconnectedness, but not filtered through the prism of some specific religion.
Right.
You know, I mean, I think the closest to that is Buddhism, because they say study the mind, and those are actually, this is like a science of mind, and Buddhism is very useful combined with our understanding scientifically on how to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, we observe the mind, we see when it happens. Here's the hindrances. You know, here's the things that are stopping you from doing what you need to do, and then achieving that state of peace and unification. To say, yeah, we're all together, and I could be peaceful. I could forgive. You know, not holding on to anger and animosity, even to combatants.
Yeah.
But I'm still trying to do what's best, you know?
I had this like crazy experience because I was homeschooling the kids and then I was teaching at night. So there really wasn't like any downtime in my life since I've had my children. And this year where they went to school. Mm-hmm. And I got into like a growth coaching situation. I'm like dealing with masterminds, but there's like meetings during the day. And I was telling Jacob this, and then I'll close my computer. And I don't really have anything to do because my job doesn't start till like 4 or whatever. I start like prepping for dinner. And I kind of just sit there and stare. And it's unbelievable that like when you do give yourself that white space, your brain just starts to do the things. It starts to process. It starts to think about stuff. It is a bowl of spaghetti at the beginning. And then somehow at the end, it starts to like clear and like it gives you like some intention. It's like, okay, this is the one thing that like it's starting to really bug me. If I could figure out this one thing, I think I'd be better. And it's just one step, and then the next step, and then the next day you do something different. And it's happening naturally. I didn't intentionally think like I'm going to start a meditation practice. I just have this natural routine where I do my meetings. I close it. Usually in my head, I'm just like, you know, starstruck because I've been dealing with like goal coaches that are all running $1,000,000,000 dance studios, and they've given me so much to think about, but it always ends up just giving yourself that time of just staring into space, like not doing anything.
You know, there's probably infinite ways to meditate, right?
For sure.
There's so many different ways. Like running is like a body meditation. You get into a meditative zone.
Jacob talks about his drawing the same.
Yeah, like you're drawing. Yeah, you could be in the shower and just like put your face in the water, feel the water, like it just be in a meditative moment.
We just talked about that on our podcast. Yes. We're like, nobody's talking about the hot plunges. Everyone's talking about the cold plunges. I'm like, my best ideas in the world have always happened in a hot shower. Just standing in front of a hot shower.
Well, we got the sauna in the float room too. And the sauna is great because you got a 20-minute space in the heat, and it's like a nice kind of routine to do that. And the benefit, we started doing that again because of the benefits are so good.
So good. Like, detoxing it's amazing.
Yeah, nothing really drops all-cause mortality like that. Like if you're 4 to 7 times a week, it's 40% reduction in all-cause mortality. Like that's crazy.
So crazy.
40% less likely to die of all causes, any cause.
Yeah, just sweating stuff out, eh?
Yeah, that's a
just
good
getting
statistic.
the toxins out of your body. It makes sense. If you're leaving toxins floating around your system, it's going to be crappy, right? It's going to
then the heat stress and the body's response to the stressor. I think is very beneficial as well. It activates longevity genes. Like it does these great things inside the body, the heat shock proteins.
Cool.
I think that's funny too, because to me, like it seems like another, it's like a human technology thing to stop, like just the lack of what we used to do, right? So you would have been all day probably sweating, like working in a field or something like that, and you would have been detoxing constantly. You would have been getting exercise. You would have been healthier. And now we have to find these ways, like in our schedule. So yeah, like we have the sauna, like
make the hot box.
This can do that for you, right? But when you don't, like you just don't realize it. Like it would have just been a natural part of our day before, right?
Even without like the work day, saunas have been like a really old practice, like in like, you know, indigenous communities and stuff, right? And like sweat lodges. Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny how you can go a long time without actually sweating, which is crazy. That probably wouldn't have been a normal thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, and that's the thing.
Physical.
That's the thing I didn't know. Even though I was like, well, the benefits are great. I'm sauna more. And I looked at the benefits. That's great. And then I was like, oh, I'll learn a bit more about saunas. And it's just like, that's actually an ability. You can get better at sweating. Right. So if you're not exposed to heat like that, if you never sweat, you're really poor at sweating. You know, so as you expose yourself to that, the body gets quicker and faster and produces more sweat. Yeah.
Wow.
There's an adaptation that occurs that makes you more heat adapted.
Right, because the sweating is the response to the heat. It's helping it, right? Deal with the heat.
Yeah, so it gets better at that. That's what the body's going to get better at whatever you do. So if you're sitting around all day, it's not getting better at much. You know, like, your body's
Am I
not
getting
be
better at
great.
being lazy? Can I
That's
master
right.
that?
No,
I'll
that's
master
exactly it.
laziness.
You're feeding sloth, right? Like that's really what it is. Like
what do you mean? Maybe you're meditating all day.
Yeah.
I'll just sit here all day. Lazy, fat slob.
Well, you're probably not
I'm going to be the human Buddha.
fully mindful while you're doing that, right? Like it's
eating potato chips.
You probably wouldn't be doing that if you were.
Yeah.
But there obviously there's cases like monasteries and monks that are just doing a lot of meditation, but they're also doing the other stuff and learning the teachings, interacting and doing
cleaning
stuff.
the temple.
Cleaning, a lot of cleaning, yeah.
A lot of cleaning, cooking.
Yeah, and then you look at like Shaolin monks, and it's like very body intensive. Like they're like densifying the bones in their body. And like their whole fascial system is connected really nice through the movements they do and everything. That's a mental and physical specimen.
Yeah,
cool.
And I think that is the ultimate human. Like that's the right approach. You train the body and you train the mind, and they're so interconnected.
Yep. Yeah, I'm really struggling with that. I mean, I have way more mental time, and now I'm, able to have the time to think. But the physical, I went from teaching 30 dance classes a week to 0. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm down to almost nothing now. So yeah, it's hard. You have to make time in your schedule to stay active, especially as a parent, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's hard.
Yeah, and to keep it up. Again, it's the same. Exercise is hard for that too. It gets easier the longer you do it, but if you slip up and you take a break, and it's hard to get that momentum going again.
Yeah, I teach fitness classes at a gym down the street from me, and that's been my saving grace to force me to do it. Mm-hmm. Can you define the word sanctuary for us and what it means to you on a personal level?
Yeah, so I picked the word sanctuary because it's like a refuge, right? It's a break from your stimulating life.
Right.
And there's also sanctuary is also a dual word, like it's used as a sacred place as well.
Right.
Right. So, you can't help but start touching divinity when you're inner exploring like that, because that's ultimately what you are. For
sure.
So when you're exploring within yourself, you're going to touch the divine. And so it automatically becomes a sacred thing. Right. That's where I came through a scientific background, materialist science. I wasn't like a hardcore, there's no God or anything, or there's nothing beyond. I was kind of agnostic, but I just believed what I see and wanted to study, was curious.
Yeah, when you're in university as a science student, you're just so excited about research-based knowledge.
Yeah, and you're taught that way. I mean, that's what the system is. And then psychology is it is considered it's a bachelor of science.
Yeah,
it's not a bachelor of arts.
Is.
So it squeaks in there. Philosophy is not.
Science.
Philosophy is not, right?
Soft science.
But it's the furthest out that is still included.
Right.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed my psychology classes when I took biology, so I said that I would like to do that as a second degree.
Yeah.
And
there is so much crossover.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to know the mechanism before you're understanding, but you're right. There is this magical part that no one can explain and science can't explain.
Well, that kind of materialist model would say that consciousness is generated through the activity of the brain. But they're co-occurring, right?
Yeah. So and when you get down to the specifics of what that means to the human experience, you're just I cannot even begin to explain to you what just went on in my head.
It also goes against your actual experience of being a human.
Yeah.
Because you're a person.
Trying to justify it,
you have a POV,
quantify it.
You can move your character. You know what I mean? You're in the driver's seat of the thing.
Right.
Even if there's a lot of automation behind it, because that's how biology works.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's still a person. You're a person. You can't deny that and say it's an epiphenomena of the brain or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Your conscious nodal point in a field. And that's what the brain looks like. That's what the activity of thinking and being looks like.
Right.
And that's what you're measuring.
Right.
So anyways, just looking at the brains and saying oh, I want to do that. But it is a spiritual practice. It's also secular, but traditionally it's a spiritual thing.
Right.
I mean, it stemmed out of trying to understand the mind.
Right.
And then the whole religion came out of that tactic and approach. And that's being taught for 400 or 500 years before Christ, right? So
yeah, because the actual scenario of praying and meditating looks the same, right?
prayer is a form of meditation.
Right. It's,
Yeah,
I guess, who you're talking to, but really, I mean, unless somebody, yeah.
Even those initial, like 1,000 studies, it was transcendental meditation, most of it.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's a mantra-based meditation. So you're actually repeating a word. They give you a mantra and you repeat a word.
Say the thing over and over again.
It's because it gives you an anchor point. It gives you something for the mind to pay attention to. That's not just running away with all the this leads to this and that. What does that remind me of?
Spaghetti. Yeah. Bowl of spaghetti.
You know, like, because you can't tame that thing. Like, it's not, and that's not what meditation is. And I read the studies. I'm like, I'm not doing mantra. That's silly. You know, like I'm less, weird about it now. But
yeah,
I don't do a mantra-based meditation. I've done all kinds. I have done mantra-based meditation. But when I first started, I said, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna still my mind.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit here and think.
And then you'll sit there for 20 minutes and come out more frustrated because you can't do that. Yeah. It's not gonna work. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was the breath. Okay, the breath really worked great for me. It was paying attention to the breath, being there with the breath.
And that's naturally going to happen anyways. And what a great calming tool.
Yeah. And the breath, in biology, we learned the breath actually, by slowing the breathing, you actually change the nervous system function.
Change your brain. Yeah.
Right. So slowing and deepening the breath changes. You have a parasympathetic nervous system response. You start to get into rest and digest, like a relaxation mode.
Instead of
yeah, and you could do the opposite. You could start to pant up your energy, and you're going to have a fight or flight response too.
Yeah,
So
constantly having a heart attack.
The breath is a gateway to the nervous system like that.
Right.
And it's also like a really great way to pay attention to just the living force of in and out. The cycle of a breath is like a microcosm of a cycle of a lifespan.
Yeah.
Or a universe, or
yes.
galaxy and
totally.
star.
Fun.
Yeah. So then you start to have spiritual experiences because you're doing essentially what becomes a spiritual practice.
Right. How do you personally reset when you are getting overwhelmed?
So I meditate every day, and there's been periods where, I've gone a month without meditating.
You're busy.
Yeah, but
my
meditation practice is very strong right now, and it happened out of that mystical unification experience.
Right.
And then just being like, okay, it told me, because I said everything you're doing, yes, you struggled and you haven't accomplished some of these things, and you're hard on yourself, but that was all perfect. Like, that was all you had to go through. That is all the mental churning as a part of this process, because I could see forward and see where I want to go and what it's going to take.
Yeah.
It also showed me what my potential is, I think, because it showed the success line and that it was a big thing. And
where you have been from, right? Mm-hmm. Like, sometimes your body needs to have that or your brain needs to have that conversation of forgiveness. Yeah. Where you're like, okay, you know what? Like, stop beating yourself up and look how far you've come. Yeah. Because that right away is a different mindset. Yeah. Instead of I'm failing, you're like, look what I have done.
Yeah. That's called the reverse gap in personal development. So a lot of people look at the gap between here's where I want to be and here's where I am. That's depressing. Yeah. If you look at the reverse, look where I was 5 years ago. Like, look how much I've learned and I've done these things. And,
I'm at that point now where I'm trying to look back on the last year and stop just being like, well, in my mind, I fooled around for 15 years. I owned a business that I didn't put in any specific direction except for just running the hamster wheel as hard as I could. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to not look back and have regret. But yeah, if I can go just from now till a year ago.
Like I said it before, but it's like, that's something it's not serving you. It's literally like you're dragging an anchor. Yeah. That's unnecessary. But it's part of the nature of the mind to be self-critical, right? Yes. But you literally can train that out of you. Right? Yeah. The problem is I've envisioned something that's very heavy. It's very significant, and so it's hard to face that. It's hard to put yourself into that. Right. But it was like going to the Carly's camp and having all these aunts and uncles, and they're very gossipy, and they're starting to say stuff about you. And I never really experienced that because it was I was a nice person and I was whatever. Yeah. Getting used to, okay, well, some people are just going to talk bad about you.
Yeah. Player's going to, or no, hater's going to hate.
Started to harden to that. And then getting into politics, and then it's like, 20% of the town doesn't like you because some people are against something you're doing, or just because you're in power and they're not. Yep. And they have a little Facebook page.
Jealousy.
And they lie about you. Right. And so there's misinformation about you now. And you're just like, anything where you put yourself out there's going to be a certain percentage of people that don't like you, even for you could be a saint. There's nobody who's perfectly liked.
Our coaches tell us all the time, they're like, don't take it personally. Like, it's not you, it's whatever they're going through at the time. It has nothing to do with you while they're not interacting with your business.
Yeah. And I had to learn that process too. Well, now I'm on a public stage, and the law changed right after I got in. And it was like, we got in October, our first meeting was like November or something like that. And that was 2018. And in 2019, by March, a new law came into place where there's an integrity commissioner system, and any member of public can put a complaint against you, and there's a whole investigation against you. It's like a $10,000 investigation. And so there were these people that were lying about the community, not about me specifically, but I was like, this is wrong. It's like they're saying we're turning away businesses and things that we would never do.
Yeah.
Right. and so I spoke back against that, and my experience with them, that these are constant complainers and that they have warped negative views on things.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't respectful by saying warped negative about these people, right? Even though I'm a writer, I'm a descriptor, I'm a communicator.
Yeah.
The investigator goes through and he says, like, as much as that's accurate, because I sent the emails and the correspondence, there's actual, got the receipts, here's what they're like. And he's like, that's like, quite accurate, but you can't say that because you're a member of council and you're held to the highest standard.
Right.
And okay, fair enough. There was no repercussions. There was a report and they said, well, they were way worse and we're not going to do anything to him. This report is punishment enough, basically.
Yeah,
like, okay, well, I got off, but
and
I was just trying to stand up for my community and trying to correct the record, but I did it where I actually talked about the people.
Right.
So then I said,
targeted them.
I'm going to talk about the information and not bring the people into it.
Right. Because really that's what is discussable or negotiable, right?
Yeah.
Is like, they feel like this is happening and it's not true. So let's talk about what their thought process was. And you're in a small town, so like really you want to be transparent, as transparent as possible, right?
Yeah, because otherwise they control the narrative.
Right.
And that happens a lot.
Yeah, in a small town. In a large town, it's like, if there are people with warped sense of anything, we just ignore them. Like there's so many people and there's so many screaming and yelling and there's people, protesting in the streets, and we kind of just go about our business.
I don't know. Yeah, it seems like there's enough warped people in power.
I was gonna say, how old are these people? What's the general age bracket?
So these are like retired men.
Okay.
Their hobby is to watch local politics and heckle essentially.
Hecklers.
You know what I mean? And and it's like they'll twist it. No matter what you do, they want to find why you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
But they're not going to do what you're doing.
No.
They just want to sit on the sidelines and criticize it.
Yeah. They're probably in Tim Hortons today yelling in French.
Yeah, they hang out in Tim Hortons. And they've actually chased some investments away by just people hearing them be negative in public spaces. But there's some stories like that.
Ridiculous.
But that's, again, it's like, okay, well, that's just the way it is, right? So if you're going to do anything meaningful where you're putting yourself out there, you're going to have to face that.
Yeah.
And so
you have a strong backbone.
Yeah, so I hardened to it, which was great.
Yeah.
It was stressful to go through, but then I'm like, well, I can navigate a thing and I can adjust. And
and I think it just happens with life experience, right? Like you just get more confident in yourself and you're secure in your relationship with yourself and your relationship with people around you, that you kind of have you get a superpower.
So it's part of looking back and be like, okay, I had a micro kind of version of that where I got better at dealing with that kind of criticism behind your back.
Yeah.
And then it was like, I did it at the community level. And you're like, now I want to put myself out there and into the world. And so that's the next stage. And you don't think about that at the time. When you look back, you're like, oh, it is like a really perfect process. That
I
wasn't planning it that way. It was like I wanted to be involved because I was covering it and I was compelled to do it.
Right. Yeah, you need a really strong backbone. You think of like people and, now we have cancel culture. Imagine we work this hard on getting a podcast and we get to a certain level and we get canceled.
Yeah, well, like it's scary in UK and Canada's not going in a good direction in that.
I know, full censorship just
way.
For no reason. Like, and everybody's just censoring. It's like that, like you said, it's somebody just unleashing an investigation on you, and then they just cancel you because it's easier to do than to fight with people, right? Like, just make this problem go away. If it's controversial, erase it. If it's thought-provoking, erase it. Make it go away.
And that was
any ruffles.
That was just a little over a year into the council, and then the pandemic hits like right as the investigations. It's like, this is a stressful time.
Wow. Yeah.
But it was once a week I'd get in the float tank and I was able to just let it go and reset.
Amazing.
That's another thing. It was like, I use this analogy too. It's like you're trying to navigate the maze of your life and all the details of it.
Yeah.
And you're just always in it. But when you change the rate of your brain, you alter your consciousness, it's like you get a broader view. The brain is literally doing this, right? It's an expanded state of consciousness. And you kind of like slow
down your life. Like you're operating in slow motion. You give yourself more time to make the decisions.
Yeah, you'll see it from a different perspective. You're moving
slower. You're moving more calculated.
Yeah, your emotional state is calm. You're less warped through an emotional lens.
Right. You're not just like, my life is so stressful. Oh my God. I'm just like dealing with all this crap.
Well, that too. So you're in a relaxed state. And then
Yeah.
you're looking at something which allows you to see it more objectively.
For sure. If you look back on your memories of those times that were so overwhelming, yeah, you just seem like, so when you get in a better mind state, you're like, oh yeah, that was crazy. We've had some non-paying tenants in our rental properties. And like, I just look back on that time as being like so traumatizing, like the same way somebody would remember being in like an abusive relationship. That's how I remember it, because I was so high strung and my emotions were running so hot and high that I couldn't get myself to a calm state to deal with that scenario. And it went on for a long time. It was like an 11-month thing.
Yeah.
So when you are in these really like long, drawn out, dramatic relationships, or traumatic in a lot of senses, I think like that's what's going to save you. You're not going to look back on, that's almost a whole year that I look back on my life as if somebody were taking a baseball bat to me.
Yeah. It's like in Buddhism, they call it like you're holding onto a hot coal. Like you're the one doing that.
Yeah.
It's like they gave
Just
you the
put
coal,
it down.
but you're holding on to
Yeah,
it.
drop it.
That's like resentment or holding a grudge.
And I
is
think
like,
for me anyways, I think that's why I married my husband, because he's just like, whatever, man.
well,
So I try to like, I want it to like wash off on me.
Yeah.
Please
Like
teach
that,
me the relaxation.
He's having an effect,
Yeah. Oh yeah,
energetically.
for sure.
Yeah.
Even just, his being able to be definitive enough to say like, this isn't worth your emotions.
Yeah.
Don't let yourself get like this. He just naturally had that hardness where he wasn't effective.
I don't know about natural. It took me a while to get there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just standing on top of high-rise buildings.
Exactly. Yeah.
Scared the crap out of yourself. You're desensitized.
Conquering your fears.
Yeah, conquering your fears. Totally.
Well, that's like mindfulness allows. Okay, so you have this agitated thing. This tenant did this thing to you, and it's so wrong.
Right.
And aggravated. They wronged you.
Right.
It's like, so that's a natural thing where you're going to react. You're a human being.
Yeah.
That's like, even no matter if you're touch states of enlightenment or whatever, you're still going to get triggered by certain things.
For sure.
But mindfulness says, okay, well, what is this feeling? And you can perceive it. And then you flow through it. And so it's not going to grip you in the same sense. It doesn't stick with you in the same sense.
Right.
It's like when you have a desire, it's like, I want to have a piece of chocolate or something. And then you go have the chocolate. Well, you're not even practicing mindfulness. You were a slave to your impulse. You had a desire and you acted on that desire.
Right.
Well, what happens when you just watch the desire? And you say, okay, well, there's the desire. There's a desire for chocolate. Watch it. There it is. It would be nice to have that. It'd be great. It would taste like this. And then it goes, oh, there it goes. It's gone. The desire is gone.
Yeah.
No, people don't allow that to happen because you act on it, the impulse, before you give it a chance to flow through. And then
even just the imagination of it is
it's
enough.
fleeting. It's fleeting. It's temporary.
It's fleeting.
It doesn't have control over you.
Right.
Unless you allow it to, right?
Right.
Unless that's your habit, that's your pattern, and you do. It's the same thing like a notification on a phone.
Yeah.
Ding, and then you're actually conditioning. That's a classical conditioning thing.
Pavlov's dog.
You hear the ding, your response is to grab for it.
ding.
What's my notification?
Yeah. Tell me what to do.
So you can just
phone.
counteract that by being like, I'll check it later. I'll check it when I want to check it.
I turn it on silent.
Turn it
so
off.
I
Turn
never know.
it whatever.
Turn
You get
the
a
ringer
buzz.
off. Yeah.
Maybe it's in your pocket and you feel a buzz, but you're like not pulled to look at it right away.
Yeah, I was going to say.
You should practice doing that just because now you've actually non-conditioned yourself. And so you're not going to have an unconscious response to something. And now your phone is controlling you.
Yeah. So, and same with the chocolate thing. I think like any time that I've like gotten myself in a situation where I'm like, oh, I have to rely on my willpower, I just don't have it. Like it doesn't exist in my house. So now if I want it, I have to like get in my car, drive to the store and get the chocolate bar. There's very little chance that's going to happen. You know?
It's like the Odysseus strategy. Make sure it's not in the house. So it's not like you're tied to the thing. So the siren call doesn't bring you into the water.
So that's why, my phone, my ringer's always off. So it's not even a temptation, right? I don't know when I'm getting notifications.
Yeah. Like when Nova was born, we did that. It was like, no more crap food. And we get it out.
Got rid of everything out of your house.
You're forced to eat something healthier because that's what you have.
Yeah, totally. We've gotten better like that now that the kids are a little bit older. And I think I've stood up for myself and I'm just like, one meal. Mm-hmm. No more than one meal. I am not making 4 different meals
I have
for
the same
all of
rule,
these people.
because they're like, but I don't want that. I want this. I'm like, I can't do that. I'm not making separate meals.
One meal.
If you want something separate, you can make yourself something
There's too many of us. There's too many people living in this house.
That would be a dysfunctional thing for 5 kids.
Insane. Is there anything in lately that you've changed your mind about?
I've changed my mind about different things, like seeing new information and knowing where I'm wrong, or seeing like even certain things that you take to be true. Like, I mean, COVID's a great example of that, where you thought this thing was really dangerous and that masking was good. And then you look back, you're like, that was weird.
Yeah, it was against all of my things I learned in university.
Yeah, well, you think about like there's droplets in the mask, and okay, well maybe it's reducing like the viral load, but it's not. It didn't pan out, and you're not actually. The virus particles are so small that you're not
They're
preventing
going through
infection.
a mask, and you're also inhaling your own CO2 over 8-hour periods. Like I don't know.
Yeah, the political world is weird because you have like teams, especially in the United States, where you have two teams. And it's like there
Only
are completely
two.
different bespoke realities,
Yeah.
whether what source of information you're getting your information
Right.
from. So it's like I think truly the best way to learn is like through independent media now, because you're not incentivized with corporate donations or political donations or something like that. Like it's actually just trust with the viewer, because the viewer are your bread and butter.
Yeah, we just were listening to a podcast, and she was saying that she was like, the mistrust level is so crazy. She was given stats on like somebody watching CNN versus like a viral TikTok video right now, and not even like trying to challenge, with the content aside from what this is getting millions of views on, somebody throwing a cat toy in the air. Mm-hmm. But aside from the actual content, I think it was the viewership that she was focusing in on, because we are at a time where we don't trust any media. So we are all going towards the independent, for our viewership, right? We trust just the guy down the street because he's there and he's got his camera phone. He's the logical source, and he's not being paid by anyone else.
Mm-hmm. The diversity of media is important, because now you take in a diverse media diet and you see like, oh, well, there's a lot of range here.
Right.
and then you realize, oh, they're lying a lot. Like that official news source is like, they lie a lot, and they're just propaganda. It's like an entertainment news kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so
China,
it changes the way you look at things. And then it's just like, okay, well, like climate change is a good example of that. And I think we should be thinking in a circular way of taking care of the planet. But we're seeing 20% increased greening, and there's positive effects too. So the alarmism that this is a catastrophic and you're a threat, well, that's like tyrannical. Tyrants want to control you through fear. That's what they did with the pandemic, and that's what they did. And when you take in enough and you look, well, like they were trying to say that the planet was cooling, or like they were looking for a control mechanism.
Right.
And then it was like, okay, oh no, it's warming. Oh, yes, and we're producing it, and all this stuff like this. So we are contributing, and that is part of it. But the planet is balancing, and we don't know the full effects of this thing.
Yeah.
So I don't think we need to like destroy our lives over this, because it's such an immediate threat to us. But I think we need to be transitioning towards thinking about maybe not doing that in the long term.
Definitely.
So
the time horizon keeps moving, right? So that's something I've definitely shifted to not thinking it's such a doom and gloom. I also think you're not going to be acting as well or caring as much if you think we're screwing up anyway, and it's just a human impulse that we're destroying everything, and that there's nothing you could do about it.
Totally. That's
true.
the worst
it's the wrong mindset.
It's the worst attitude.
Because at the same time, people are finding solutions, doing incredible things.
I know.
Incredible things.
Yeah.
So why would you not take that optimistic, positive approach and say, I'm going to have a positive outlook?
I can be the change in life. I can be the change in the world.
Well,
it only takes one person.
I thought about that too, because when you're in your 20s and you're like, I'm going to be significant and I'm going to change the world, it's like, it's not really realistic, especially when you realize how big everything is and how the system is so broad in scope.
And maybe you also start to realize, like, especially as a parent, that really that's not what you want anyways. You really just want to be a legacy.
That's a huge burden to take that on as well.
Right?
The people in those positions are dealing with a heavy load.
Like, I just want my kids and my
and there's a lot of meaning to that.
Right.
But it's like Terence McKenna said this, and it was a really good thing that always stuck with me. Is like, don't try and spread the fences coast to coast. Ride the ranch and mend the fences. And that was part of my community thing too. Is like, I'm in my community. I can make I'm not going to save the world, but I can make my community better. You can make your family better. Yeah. Like it could be you yourself. Well, that's automatically everything ripples out of you anyway. But
that's another quote. Totally. Like, if every man sweeps his own front porch, then the whole world will be clean, right? Yeah. So if you can just take care of your area, and everybody else just takes care of their area, then we should all be good, right?
And I think you bringing up the point of the media is like so significant like that. Like, again, that makes sense that they're going to rule trying to scare us on a global level where we feel so insignificant. You feel like you can't make a difference. Like, nothing you do matters, because look at the destruction that's going on. And like, the media in that scenario, they're pretending like they're God. They're like, we have this under control. We're broadcasting it. We're telling you the story that we're controlling. We're taking care of this. So that kind of does wind you into that like cycle of, oh, I want to be famous. I want to be significant. I want to change the world. Oh, I can't. I'm so insignificant. Look at the media around me, or look what's going on at like a global level, right? So I think, yeah, like that's twofold, getting more of an independent view of what's going on in the world does two things. One, you don't see it on this big, huge global level, and you actually do feel like you can contribute and you can make a difference based on like, one person's freaking TikTok video. Like people are doing it on an individual level, which is a lot more usable.
And another thing too is that you are significant. You stop trying to make yourself significant by being something grand. That's an ego trying to take over your lifespan and say this is the thing. And then you see that in politics or any kind of power structure where these high ego people take control of that system because it enlarges it. And the ego facilitates that because it's protective in its own way too. But that's like the upper politics is like narcissist games. It's crazy.
Totally.
It's not like local. You have kind of a blend. There's a little bit of that, but not so much.
No, you're talking corporate levels that like, you get like those crazy psychopaths.
Yeah.
The real psychopath.
And you're always going to have that to a degree, but we need to create a culture that's positive thinking. The culture has to say life is good and we can create something beautiful because we're riding a knife's edge if we can ride this thing off the rails or we can create something amazing. Yeah. And we have the technology, we have the minds to do the things that we can do. Like the things.
I know. Yeah. I know, and you're right. We can be just dwelling in the suck and dwelling in the fact that like things aren't happening the way we want them to, or the how fast they could.
Even if that was true, it's still the wrong approach.
It's still not going to help us
because it increases, it accelerates a negative.
The suck.
Yeah, a sinking into degrading of culture, degrading of society.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and like think of like your own self-worth, right? Your own life.
It's crazy that's what like news media does is so like 95% negative, and then maybe you'll have one little nice story.
It's a junk food of attention. It's like it's the negativity bias is built into the brain to prevent yourself from threats. It's fear is the number one thing because it's attention grabbing. I need to pay attention to negative things or fearful things
to
because
avoid
maybe
something bad happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like we had that evolutionary because we're walking when it's dim and there's something in the bush. Oh, it's nothing. It's just nothing. But it could have been a tiger or something that's going to leap out and take you out.
Your body wants to be on high alert for the bad things.
That 1 out of 100 times where it actually is. That was a great thing. So you're going to have 99 false worrisome moments, because it saves your life.
I was just reading this. They were talking about like how to pitch like your programming to parents. And they were like, that's the most powerful way to like set up this vision for parents that like if they sign themselves up for this like particular extracurricular, you're going to prevent your child from being this, piece of crap. And I'm like, oh my God, I cannot use this to like manipulate parents into being like, if you don't sign up for dance, your kid's going to suck. Like, it's crazy to me.
Like benevolent leadership is an invitation.
Right.
Here's the offer. Come if you want or don't.
I know, exactly. Yeah.
That's
Jacob's
true leadership.
Always been like that in terms of his like leadership style.
It's non-coercive. It's invitational. Yeah. Play is like that. And what's the opposite of that? It's
like
play,
that.
right?
Yeah.
It's an invitational. You want to have somebody have fun with you.
Yeah.
And if they do, maybe they'll want to do it again. And you do that over time, and that's a friendship.
And that builds like loyalty into like a brand too, where they don't feel like they're on the attack, right? You might make the sale then, but you're not going to make the frequent sales because they don't trust you and they're like, oh, this person kind of suckered me into it. It's like buyer's remorse, right? Oh, that's so powerful. You convince someone to buy something you didn't want to. Like, no, that's tricking.
Yeah, and that's happening for
manipulating
since marketing came out.
I know.
And so that's what 75 years now or 85 years, something like that.
Yeah, it's bananas.
And that continues.
I don't
We've only
want to market
intensified
like that.
pursuit.
Oh, for sure. That's what we were talking about, right? On the news, like they're capitalizing on that. That they're like, we know they're going to pay attention if we tell them there's a pending threat. So we'll just tell them every day that there's a pending threat so that they're paying attention and doing exactly what we tell them to do.
And obviously, like part of maturation is that there are real dangers, there are real threats, and there are real bad things out there. And to be aware of that so that you're not, ignorantly stumbling through life or into danger that,
right.
Or contributing
like,
to it in some way.
I'm booking a trip to Israel today. Are you sure today?
But I was curious, and so taking in all that negativity was hard. Yeah. Like I was depressed for a bit.
For sure.
But then it was like, okay, well, there's actually opportunity in that because if I'm light, that I can create a counterbalance to that darkness.
Yeah.
Not that you could fix it, but the darker the world is, the lighter your light helps more, right? The lighter you should become to counterbalance it.
Yeah.
That should be the goal.
Yeah. Think of what a power that is in a scenario like this.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's an opportunity.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right, I got one question left, and I love this question
I don't know.
because
You do?
Yeah. Do you have another one?
Well, I was just gonna say we're almost up on 2 hours.
Woo! Longest podcast. We knew that.
Maybe we should wrap it up.
I was like, I missed this and I missed that. I got more to say.
Darcy. We have Darcy. We're going to end up at a 5-hour podcast. Well, we'll be up again. This is great.
I did want to touch on one thing that I missed the thread of was like that, having that moment of realization and then the wake up thing. You know, and it was just like something
was it immediate?
Changed.
Like the next day?
I missed the next day, and I thought it was. I thought I was like, I just touched the Satori, this enlightenment, and then it's like I'm different now. And then it was like as I came out of that state, it was like my personality protection came back in, and it was just like resisting, and I actually started to shake a bit. I was like resisting it. I was like, but you have it's hard, and you have to do this and this and this.
You have to change all these things.
It's all the things that you have to do to put yourself in that position.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just waking up; it's everything you do after that, right?
Right.
And it's self-sacrificing. You have to actually seek discomfort and do the hard things when it's really, the comfort's so nice.
Yeah.
The bed's so nice. So it was like I couldn't do it, and it was like the shift, like, okay, well, don't beat yourself up, and you can do it. And
it doesn't all have to be at once. It can be like one little
and then
thing.
the resistance was gone. So it wasn't like I didn't defeat the resistance. I didn't push through the resistance. I changed through an
no more resistance.
Through an internal shift, and I'm like, that's why the inside is primary,
right?
Because it secondarily results in the outcome that you're looking for. Right. You're not trying to force it through the external world.
Yeah, you're not fighting anymore. There's nothing to fight against.
I came out of that state being like, do the work. It was like this message, do the work. And that's an easy thing to say to yourself, do the work.
So maybe you are doing
and it's not that it's going to be hard, but you can enjoy it. You can be mindful of it.
Yeah.
And keep yourself on track. And I'm being more productive
doing the hard
since.
work, I think taking on a mastermind program for me, that was like figuring out what hard work to do. Mm-hmm. It's hard to know what you're like, I'm inspired. I know what like the result needs to be. I'm changed my mind. Now, how do I get from here to here? Right. That hard work. Sometimes people don't even really know like what the hard work is to get to where they want to go. So you're already miles ahead. I love this last question. It was if you could leave one message, and I was picturing when I was writing this question, I'm like, Iroquois Falls is so amazing and so small that it's just the one billboard. You got the one billboard. I'm like, if you could leave one message on that billboard for everyone in your town to see, what would it say?
Yeah, it kind of ties into what I was talking about, but it's like, if you aim to become more light, the world around you will necessarily become less dark.
Right.
So to say the world around you will become less dark, to cut out necessarily, but to have it more concise, right?
Yeah.
If you
only got this much room on the
If you aim to
billboard.
become more light, the world around you will become less dark. I think that's a message we need.
I love that. Yeah. Get up there. I'll take the paint tomorrow. I'll paint over the Tim Hortons sign.
I think it's $500.
Oh, yeah?
$500, you could do it.
All right. $500. Let's do this. I'll invest in that. Amazing. Well, this was so great. Thank you so much for coming on. We loved having you. We'll definitely do it again.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And I guess if you're ever in Iroquois Falls, you should book a float.
Yeah, book a float at Mind Body Sanctuary.
Don't forget to follow us on Spotify and you'll never miss a podcast.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.